Oh, yeah, I heard what they can't see and put all that stuff in front of you. Yeah.
Okay, everybody wants to stand for the invocation?
Father, once again, we come before you in the humble heart and of the spirit. With a special request tonight, we pray for one of our fallen officers. We pray for the bereaved family, pray that you take them through and keep them lifted up and encourage, oh God, and we pray for our community, that you continue to bless our community, bless each commissioner and their families, keep us lifted up. In your son Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Order. All members are present. Let's say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone, thank you for coming tonight. As Commissioner Banks mentioned, we did have a tragedy in our community. I don't know how many of you know Mark Elam, but he lives on North Prospect Street. He is a captain at the jail for the sheriff's department, and he was in a tragic accident this morning, and we lost a really good man. Colonel Wells, I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Sure,
I
thank
know it's been a tough day.
you. It has certainly been. Thank you for taking the opportunity to recognize Mark. Mark, after serving a stint in the United States Marine Corps, honorably discharged and came to work for the sheriff's office. He'd been with us for quite some time. He had risen through the ranks in our correctional facility, and actually was to be promoted to captain in May. Of course, the sheriff did honorably today and promoted him. Mark was known. He has kind of having a rough exterior. He was to the point, and he would tell you exactly what he thought. But he certainly, when you got to know him, was just a huge teddy bear. I think that one thing that I know from spending a lot of time and talking with Mark is he loved Crescent City. And I remember the conversations we had at night a few times as we were going through the changes with law enforcement in Crescent City, and just his encouraging words as far as that went. He had a love for children. He had adopted many children throughout his life and had just finished the process of adopting some more. One of his adopted sons followed in his footsteps and is at 29 Palms Marine Base in California. And we've been able to make some arrangements to get him home pretty quick. But again, just thanks for recognizing him. He was, he was the best of the best, and he certainly served this county honorably, and he loved living in Crescent City with his wife, who, as you know, works at Miller Middle School. So Crescent City was in their heart. I know they were known through Crescent City for their extreme decorating habits around the holidays, especially Halloween. And he might come in and grumble a little bit about putting those up, but we all knew he loved watching those kids come around and see all that. So Mark will be sorely missed. He will never be replaced, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak about him tonight. And I know his family appreciates it with their deep Crescent City roots. Thank you.
Thank you. Commission, we have the ability, and talking to the sheriff's department, I know they're going to do this as well, and with your approval, at their guidance, we can fly our flag at half-mast in honor of him. So if everybody is in approval of that.
Remove.
Okay.
Second.
Motion, we just need that. There we go. Okay, so let's get started. I've got announcements by the chair. I know that a lot of people are in time frames this afternoon, so I'm going to go ahead and just announce any of my announcements at the very end. I have a couple of things that I just want to go over. So at this time, I don't think we have no recognitions, proclamations, or presentations, so we're going to move on to public comment. And we ask that anyone that wants to speak, that you keep your comments to 2 minutes. And please make sure that you announce yourself at the podium along with your address and speak into the mic. So do we have anybody at this time that would like to make public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay, if you'll come up and introduce yourself.
all right. This is really not for me, or it's just a general information thing. My name is Nancy Taylor, Crescent City. The county commission is looking at a comprehensive land use plan, and there are several things there I think that will be detrimental to the county overall. One of them is doubling the land use density for all the unincorporated areas of the county. And I think that will open that up to unsavory development. And they're going to talk about that at Tuesday's meeting, 9 o'clock at county. If you want to read that, it's in their agenda on their website, which is main.putnam-florida.com. That'll bring you to the commissioner's site. You scroll down to where it says minutes and agenda. You click on agenda, and they'll want you to pick what kind of meeting. You put vote of Board of County Commissioners right at the top, and then you click on the year 2021, and April 13 agenda will pop up. It's really long, but every paper that's talked about in that meeting is in that agenda. It's like on page 330, about 30 pages. It's just something that everybody should know about.
Okay, Nancy, thank you so much. Did you give your address?
101 Oakwood, Crescent City.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Mary Battle. I live at 107 Diamond Lake Drive, Crescent City. Commissioner West, thank you for your wise decision to welcome the sheriff's office into Crescent City. You are helping to transition this area into a much safer place for its residents, their property, businesses, owners, and tourists. Your courage in demonstrating a better vision for Crescent City's future should be valued.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers? Yes, ma'am. Okay, audience, I thank you.
Maureen Faulkner. I have a business at 607 North Summit Street. It's called Nature Symphony. This week, I was called by the code enforcement officer that I was in violation by having my banners. If you haven't been out there, they're very nice looking banners. And I was cited as being in violation of code enforcement. When I looked into it, I know that the code for this is 30 years old, antiquated. And maybe 30 years ago, the signs didn't look as attractive, but mine are very nice looking. I paid a lot of money for them. I am trying to bring a business to Crescent City that didn't have what I'm offering before. And I want to continue to do that. And I feel that the city needs to be more, to back us more, the business owners, to be more supportive. I think that if we had more support and not pettiness, I think it would go a long way. So I would like to see the ordinance changed. And I'm sure there are other businesses here too that feel the same way.
Thank you. May I say something to this, please?
Yes, and before you do, I do want you to know that I've asked Mr. Leary, and he requested Pam to be here tonight to address this issue, and also they have provided a copy of the ordinance in the back for us to discuss this issue.
Well, that's what I'm going to discuss right now, the ordinance. And I think I owe it to you to discuss this. I heard kind of what had happened through the grapevine, and basically, I'll start my spiel,
Okay.
but the definition of a portable sign
Mhm.
is any sign or sign structure that is or was designated to be easily moved. The immobilizing or removal of the portable element of any sign should not allow consideration of the sign as permanent. That's our definition of it. Now, if you read through the ordinance, and it's quite long, and the place that you can find this, by the way, okay, is in the land development code. It's been moved from our code enforcement ordinances to the land development code, and it's 6.7, just for your own knowledge.
Yeah, someone had sent me a copy of that on social media.
Well, as you kind of read through it, and I'm not going to read through the whole thing, we'll get right to the point, right?
Right.
It says the following signs are prohibited in all zoning districts. And as you come down the, 1, 2, it comes all the way down to 8, it says portable signs, okay? Supposedly they're prohibited in all zoning districts. However, as you read on, it says the following signs are permitted in commercial zoning districts unless not allowed due to other provisions of this chapter. Now, this is where I believe banners fall in for commercial type activities. And as you read down and you hit number 5, okay, this is on page 57, by the way, B, just so that you're kind of all with me. But number 5, we start talking about banners, portable signs, or other temporary wall signs shall be permitted under the following conditions. And it goes into a few things, grand opening celebrations for sidewalk sales and other outdoor sales, et cetera, et cetera. But the one that I think is the one that we really need to help with our business people is 5E. Banners under 15 square feet in the commercial district may be allowed as long as maintained in good condition.
Yeah.
And I really feel
Mhm.
that that's how we should approach this. And that's why I just wanted to say this. I don't know if we really want to do anything about this tonight, but I do think the banners today aren't like banners of yesterday.
No, they're very nice looking.
And we do have to promote our businesses, and I think all of us up here want to promote business here in Crescent City, and it's one simple way of doing it, so
I think,
that's what I
Mayor,
have to say.
yes,
could we, I agree with what you're saying, and of course, just my background, and I would like to have 180 days, a moratorium on any type of enforcement of banners or portable signs until we can reevaluate the ordinance and come back with recommendations to the commission, maybe even a workshop.
yes, Commissioner DeVito,
Our code enforcement officer is not here right now,
yes, she is.
but she's here, but isn't this something that we should address after public comment? I mean, we can add it to
We-
the agenda.
I just thought that it was the right time to do it. I think that the business owners should just hear this, and she's here on behalf of her business, and I think it's important that they understand that we are with them, not against them.
And this is a
We need your
hardship.
support.
Yeah.
Support. And
Yes.
actually, when I posted it on social media, I had over 70 people respond, and a lot of them were business owners.
Well,
And it's
and that
the-
was, the second part of my conversation is, everything lately has been posted on social media,
Right.
and that's very unfortunate. We are the city commission, we are the city hall. If you have an issue,
Mhm.
come talk to us. This probably could have been taken care of in about 10 minutes. We could have gotten to it.
But actually,
fairly
because I
quickly.
posted, I got a call from Lisa.
Well, that's
First call.
good, but we are here, and some of those posts become extremely negative against the city.
Yeah,
And
well,
we
I
just-
don't
we
have
don't
to meet
need-
with the city
And
officials.
some of
Yeah,
us,
but
That's
but
not
we-
my meeting.
right.
I'm
And-
just suggesting,
Yeah.
please come talk to us.
Yeah,
We're-
and
we're
some
here.
of us, okay, let's, yes,
Yeah.
Commissioner DeVito.
Yeah, if I can, I asked Lorraine to come to the city commission.
I did as
and
well.
Contact us, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I guess what I'm saying is this, I think we all want to help our businesses. We need to do this in the right way. You don't usually start making motions in the middle of public comment.
I understand that. If you'll let me finish just for a minute. Lorraine is on a time, has a time issue with her. She has a mother at home.
Yeah.
And she did ask if we could go ahead and if we were going to do anything. And so, you know, I didn't expect for Commissioner Burton to.
Well, it's good. I liked it. I liked that. you
And
came
so,
up with
I mean, I would say that if we were to do this moratorium, I mean, I've been where you are
that. Mhm.
multiple times. And anything right now that the city can do to promote business,
Right.
you know, we need to do. So
We
I
want
guess what
Renaissance, don't we? Don't we want Renaissance again? Don't we want
We
it back
do.
the way it was?
we do,
You know,
and we want some positive action. So I would
We
say
want it
right
to be a
now,
busy city.
yes,
We do. And
commission,
successful.
with
Right.
what Mr. Leary has proposed, do I have anybody that wants to make a motion that we do a 180-day moratorium while we study this?
Right, a moratorium on what?
Signs, banners and signs.
On banners,
Allowing the banners, not restricting them.
and these are mostly the feather banners as well.
Right, they're pretty, they're attractive.
It's the feather
Really
banners
are.
that we're dealing with.
They are. They're
I would
attractive.
like the motion to be the banners, but not necessarily just all
It,
portable signs.
it has to be just
Just the
banners.
banners.
It needs to be
Business
just banners,
reasons.
and they need to be, as you make your motion, as you go forward and make a motion on this, you need clarification that those banners need to be taken care
So
Yes, how do I make these motions? I mean,
I'll be happy to make a motion.
of. Okay, go ahead.
So I move, and I'm gonna shorten the time frame. I move that the city put a moratorium on enforcement of the code provision regarding banners for 2 months, as long as the banners are in good condition.
That's it.
And I'm making it for 2 months simply because we meet every month. We can always extend it. If we find any issues, then we don't have to go on for, 6 more months. I'm certainly willing to extend it, but so my motion would be that we put moratorium on enforcement of the code provision regarding banners, provided that they are in good condition for 2 months, subject to obviously potential extension beyond that, and to provide for study by the city staff.
Okay,
I second.
we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any discussion?
Have public comment before we vote?
Or we can have public comment if you want to. If you'd
Okay,
like to go up and
thanks.
speak. Thank you, Lorraine. We appreciate you coming out tonight.
Scott Kane, 721 London Avenue. Yeah, it was the first thing that happened in the town when I got here and got into business was the sign ordinance. That was when those letter signs that you could put your letters on and then have the big arrow with the flashing lights. That's the portable sign that it's talking about.
Yes, it is. It
That's
was
the portable
before
sign.
the flitter ones came
Okay,
across.
because every business had one, you couldn't see anything going up and down
Right.
17 for that. The other thing, I know it was policy for years that you didn't get a letter from codes, you got a visit. And that has changed. I don't think it's changed by policy because I hadn't heard it, but that has stopped. And that's half the problem. I don't care who you are, you be Jesus Christ, if you get that letter, you're upset. So I think I'd like to see us go back to going and talking to the folks about it. That would
Be
help
more
quite a bit.
friendly.
We need more,
Yes.
better public relations.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And as far as the motion, in good condition is awfully subjective. I don't think that belongs in there. So,
I think
thank
it-
you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I think it's already in the code, isn't that, Commissioner Burke?
pardon me?
I think isn't in good condition already in the code.
Maintaining good
I think
condition, it's in there.
good condition,
It's in there.
yes.
But you're putting a moratorium on that, so you can't. don't-
Well, we
don't
still
bother
want-
us.
we still
Don't
want 'em to
bother
be
if the moratorium is going to be just as restrictive as the code. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that's,
Thank you.
I think the purpose of in good condition is, and it's subjective, but it's already in the code, and I think the code enforcement officer knows what it means. Lorraine has pointed out, Ms. Faulkner, that her banners are in very good condition. Obviously, you don't want somebody with something that's tattered and like a tattered flag and it's eyesore. So I think that will be okay. Or falling over, for example.
Well, and
Okay.
and again, if people are upset and don't like it, they come see us and we'll figure it out.
Okay, so we've got a motion, we have a second.
Diane Sykes, live on Chestnut Street. I'm pleased to see that the commission is addressing things, because that was going to be one of my questions tonight. Why do we have public comments? If they're not addressed, if they're not on the agenda, and if they are on the agenda, then they're not public comments, because they're on the agenda. So, which I kind of seem ridiculous to have a public speaking portion if nothing is addressed. So I'm pleased to see that the commission is addressing points at this point in time in the meeting, and I'd like to see that spread fairly through all citizens. And the whole sign thing, we have, if we're gonna put a moratorium on signs, I believe it should be on all signs. Why just flag signs? Why not do as the interim city manager suggested and give it time for him to review that for all signs? Why just put a moratorium on flags? Because I can tell you right now, there's some tattered flags out there. And that's subjective. And it also is left up to interpretation if you just say good condition.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. We've had discussion. All in favor? Aye, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Do we have any more public comment?
Lizanne Silva, 725 Rocket Lane. My family, they taught me two very important things in life. One, you can judge a man's character by the strength of his handshake. And two, you will know him by his actions, not his words. We, the citizens of Crescent City, understand that a contract has been made and that the sheriff's department will take over. We know that legally speaking, it is not required. It is fortunate for you that such a thing can be said, as it allows you to sit back, put your hands up, and say there's nothing we can do. And with that, you sit patiently and hope that we, the citizens of this town, will just be quiet and go away. You hope we go away as we watch and understand, undertake, an overworked sheriff's department never fulfilled said contract. We will know. It is your responsibility as members of this commission and as mayor to take care and safeguard this town. With no transitional plan for the interim and criminals growing bolder, as I witnessed in my own neighborhood, we wait for the sheriff to fulfill his contract. And in doing so, it seems that you will have failed to safeguard this town. We, the citizens, we are strong in number, and one way or another, we will execute our patriotic duty in the end, and we will either vote you out or recall you.
Thank you very much. Okay, do we have any other public comment?
How am I doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. My name's Rick Rarely, 207 Walker Road. I own some properties over on Bay and Rocket. It's been a while since I've been here. Over COVID, so good to see my face more often now.
Good.
The lady that just spoke is one of my renters. She's not here tonight. This has been going on for years. It's one particular house. It's a known drug house. It's obvious. I got a film on my phone. Yeah, I didn't go over and actually ask the guy if those were drugs, but when they reach in and out of the car, and they're there for 30 seconds. I'm just gonna say you don't have to do a brain surgery. Okay? It continually goes on, day after day, month after month. Same house. Same house. We asked code enforcement to take a look at it, and they said that there was no issues. I'm pretty sure there's no power in the house.
There isn't.
There's no power. Pretty sure you're not supposed to live in a house that doesn't have power. People living in it, and we do nothing about it. These people deserve better. Not just this couple, but everybody in that neighborhood deserve better. So I would greatly appreciate some law enforcement help and your support and taking care of that.
Thank
On another note, what can we do as part of the community to help this community, to make it be better? There's plenty of houses in this town that need fixed up, plenty of them. Boarded up, I guarantee if I drove around with Pam, we could find like 20, 25, without a problem. Maybe, I don't know how legally the city can get these houses, but I'm sure we could work with churches. Churches, there's plenty of people that are in need, that churches could help with these houses. Community could come together, have work days, especially on houses that need repair. I myself, was the first one out there help. Okay? And I'm sure some of these people will too, to make this a better community. You know, obviously we've had some shootings. We had a murder in town, which is never good. We had one last year. For a little town like this, it's detrimental. So, again, I'd really like to see some feedback, not tonight, but in the future, on what we can do to help, and what you can do to help us. Thank you.
Rick, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
And before you leave, wait just one moment. Captain Usry, would you make sure that he has your contact information?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
yes, sir.
Can I say something? I think which would be a great help to the city and our law enforcement officers is the property owners do some background check before they rent their house to the individual.
We do on every one of our houses.
Yeah, because I noticed on Main Street, it is flooded. Now, I don't know whether you're gonna do a background check as you're supposed to do, but on Main Street, it just be flooded. You can hardly pass by there. That's one of my arguments.
And I agree
Right
with you.
down on the corner.
On the corner, that's not my property.
Yeah, but the
And they hang out there.
the first two is your property.
Yes,
So I
sir.
don't know where you get a good background check. We need to know who we putting in our apartment.
I can guarantee I did a background check. And it's on both working people, nurses. So
Cause I don't know whether you get out, but I ride the town quite regularly on the weekend. Sometimes you can't hardly get back. In those two houses, you did good improvement. You really spent a lot of money to improve those houses. But we have to watch out the character of people that we are running to. That generates big problems.
And I think that's just across the board. That's not Rick, not you in general, but that's just across the board.
I agree with that.
Mayor, can
I'm not
follow
gonna
up
disagree
on
with that.
Commissioner Banks' remarks?
Yeah, when he, yes, Commissioner.
From what I observed, it is not necessarily the people who live in the houses that are causing the problems. As I drive around town and ride my bike and walk and pick up trash during keep having a beautiful day and just see what's going on in the evenings and the weekends, it is my impression that there are quite a few people who do not live in Crescent City, but they come into town for evening parties or daytime parties, that not everybody, you're talking about, you can't get by on the street because there's a lot of people congregating. And I remember when Chief Sherman was here, he was very concerned that there are some homeowners who people kind of have a party there, whether they want it or not. And I think that may be an ongoing issue. But I think that it's not necessarily just tenants, but, you know, we're the commercial area, we have the store, people come into town, you know, we have Winn-Dixie, Parker, convenience stores, whatever, people come in, they buy their refreshments and they stay here to party. I think that's part of the problem.
They used to congregate at the other corner where you guys put the guardrail in, and they moved since closer to 308.
Yes, yeah, and I saw that you put a Johnny on the spot there too, which I don't understand how that happened, but I think, you know, in the long haul, this is a problem. It's been an ongoing problem. There's been a couple of attempts, I believe, to address it. And I think that the commission and the city will continue to do so. And I don't think it's gonna be a real quick fix. It might be, but I don't see it being a quick fix because bad habits are sometimes very hard to break. But I do feel with our sheriff in town, the commission, who is ready and willing right now to try and put some plans together. Those old decrepit houses you're talking about, things like that, trying to get things kind of moving in the right direction there. We just need a little time to provide some kind of plan for what you're talking about, but you know, stick with us, stick with us.
Yeah, and thank you, Rick, and,
Thank you.
and by all means, we want you to be part of the conversation. And so please make sure that we have your contact information as well, if you would give it to Karen.
Will do.
Thank you very much, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more public comment? Yes, sir.
Excuse me. I live at 725 Rocket Lane with my wonderful girlfriend over there.
And your name, please, sir?
Rudy S. Castillo, 725 Rocket Lane.
Okay,
Okay, I've been living at Rocket Lane for 6 months. I'm from New York. I've seen bad elements around my whole life. I worked really hard my whole life to get myself an education. I was born with cerebral palsy. I was born with so many disadvantages, it's unbelievable. In the past 6 months, I've seen 4 shootings, 6 break-ins, a rampant amounts of drug use and prostitution around the corner. And the house that he's talking about is 712 Rocket Lane.
okay.
In November, the first incident I've ever seen anything like this, and I lived in Queens. I've seen the worst of the worst. 2 gentlemen with a Chevy Blazer ran over a mailbox, then shot it up. I was standing 6 feet away from it, walking my dog. We need change, we need police in this town. I have no idea how else to explain it to you. I spoke to Ms. Devato on Monday. She was actually kind enough out of her busy schedule to give me 2 hours of her time. Something needs to change. And about the house, I made all the complaints I can. I spoke to the officer, Livingwood, and the dispatcher, Amy, over at the sheriff's department. They told me there was nothing they can do. We need change. And it's not just for this community, it's for our minority community too. Because there's young Black people out there who don't need to be doing drugs, who need to get an education, who need jobs in this community. These kids have nothing to look forward to. Because I don't know about where you live in the city, I'm sure you wouldn't want anybody trying to case your house or breaking in or stopping your mother at a store pulling a gun on her. This is what it's coming to, and it needs to change.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can we address something there real quick?
Yes.
We're gonna, I'm sorry, I just think that the time of year, we're going to provide you with your monthly crime report here momentarily. But I do want to address Rocket Lane. I've heard that several comments that it's been going on forever and for 6 months, and you know, we haven't had any resolution to it, and you need change. We agree, change is here. Give us some time to get established on it. And I will tell you this. I'm going to introduce you in a few minutes to Captain David Ussery, who is the district commander for this area. This is what he needs to hear. Drug
Can I
investigations,
say something to you when you're done?
hang on just one
And just-
second.
and
Drug
just a minute.
drug investigations take incredible amounts of time. We executed a search warrant this past week where 11 people were in the house and ended up charging 4. That was nearly 2 years of investigation. So it takes time. The constitutional requirements in order to do what we need to do to get in these houses are. I will tell you that we would prefer that information come into us confidentially, because the address of 712 Rocket Lane is just mentioned here twice in a public meeting. That just set us back light years on dealing with that house. So it is critical that we know about this, but it's also critical that we don't announce to the drug dealers that we know about this. So please just keep that in mind when you have these complaints to get with Captain Ussery. He has direct access to our drug advice unit. And we're going to be in tune to that. We are learning quickly that Rocket Lane has been a problem for years. And it's gonna be a priority for us, but let's control. When it comes to drug information, we really need to have that conversation with us and not in the public.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, if I could, this is important. I just got a text from the Petersons who are trying to listen to meeting by Zoom. And they said that on Zoom, they cannot hear the people at the podium.
I can't hear you either.
Or you can't hear me.
No.
Okay, well, is this on?
Can we check them, can we check the,
This is
can we check the podium just to make sure? Thank you, Commissioner Burton. So let's make sure that people speak into it. Okay.
people are talking into it.
I mean, is there something between the mic and the Zoom pickup?
Well,
I don't know.
we'll give it another try.
Does the owl need to be moved back or something?
No, it's where it's always, it's where it always is.
Maybe it's their,
And sometimes people are having some difficulty with their own computers with their audio as well. We had
No,
that
it's
last time.
everybody's.
Thank you. And please, audience, I'm just gonna ask that we don't have any outbursts from the audience. It just, Rudy, I know that you wanted to say something. Do you still want to say something?
Yeah,
Can you come?
Yes, to the officer. We have a very wonderful neighbor that he works with, Mr. Willie, Miss Janice. They've been living there for 40 years. They said nothing has changed in 40 years. And they just switch from one house to another. We need change because there's young black kids out there dying.
No argument. We understand. What I meant by change is the sheriff's office is now responsible for your law enforcement. And I've got the person here for you to talk to. But drug change doesn't occur overnight.
Sir, I made over 20 calls and nothing has been done since October.
I can tell you personally, I've made more arrests than people sitting in this room on the Roman lane.
I believe it.
Give us some time and let's have a sidebar conversation about what's going on and what you know and tell us.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other public comment? Yes, sir. Are you gonna be able to reach that? Okay. Just gonna make sure that you can speak into the microphone.
Oh, sure.
If you'll introduce yourself and your address.
Lawrence Coleman, 517 Vernon Avenue, Crescent, Florida. Well, I got two different subjects. One is of a safety matter. And I understand everything that's going on in the room here. But if you know where the trust plant is, at the,
Yes,
right. Okay, now, I've noticed on a couple of different times at night, so this is a safety issue, at night, if you don't know where you're going, or if you're inebriated.
but you shouldn't be driving anyway.
Right, but I'm saying, but they have this kind of dingy stop sign, and if you're not familiar, or, I'm saying, you can go straight in. You can go straight in. They close on Saturday, but they work all week. They close on Saturday, but I noticed like, okay, I was behind two different people, two different occasions,
Okay.
and we almost went into it.
Now that's out in the outside,
Yeah,
it's in the
it's-
unincorporated area. So have you
Well,
spoken to
but
Commissioner
see-
Pickens?
Excuse me?
Have you spoken to Commissioner Pickens about that?
Yeah, but okay, well, maybe, okay, it could be like, because we have the new sheriffs in town, due all due respect. Like I said, maybe they could go over there to the business owners and say, hey, we've noticed here, because at the other end of that road there, I got a stop sign put up there. And at the other curve around there with the railroad track, I got three stop signs put up there. That's a safety concern.
Okay.
And I understand other issues about, for the community, and yeah, I guess it's gonna take time, but if you have to be diligent and want to put in the work about it, you can say what you're gonna do. But other comment is, well, November, it's a long way off. There'll be some changes. I'm inquiring about the possibility, again, of a vegetation rate this year, because last year it was knocked out.
Mhm.
But see, by that time, I mean, like, I could be having a couple of things different in place, like, getting bottles of hand sanitizer given out, or face masks, or, and it's a small town, so we can spread out. But what we need is something to bring the community back together again, to make people happy. And what better occasion to celebrate what Veterans Day. And the panel knows that for the last 2 years, except for last year, I founded and coordinated. So I'm just kind of putting a bug in.
Giving us something to look forward to, and hopefully we'll be open for the parade this next year. So we appreciate what you do. I said, hopefully we'll all be open for the parade this year, and you're giving us something to look forward to.
Okay, that was my.
And we appreciate what you do.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, do we have any more public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll now close public comment. We have nothing on the consent agenda, so let's go to our general business and introduce Dana Jones. Dana's here, and she wants to, from the Chamber of Commerce for Putnam County.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dana Jones, 108 Thompson Road, East Palatka. I'm here today representing the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. And thank you so much for inviting me. It seems a little odd. I've only done 3 in-person presentations in a year. So if I start trying to do weird things with my screen or something, I'm used to doing these in my living room. So bear with me. It's been a weird 380 days. I think we're just about there from our first case of COVID. And every day feels like Groundhog Day to me. You wake up, you wash up, you sanitize, you mask up, and sanitize and mask up. So it's been a crazy year, but there's good news.
I'm not sure. We ask Ms. Jones to wear her mask when she speaks, because it's when you're speaking that you are putting more whatever.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you,
Dana.
What-
I know it's hard.
I just focus my class.
I know it's hard
See
to-
my
I know,
notes, but
I
I'll
know.
do my diligent best.
We can hear you.
Okay. So anyway, the good news is I am not here to speak about COVID. I did want to mention some good news, the outlook for 2021. I know there's a lot of gloom and doom, but there's a lot of positive things going on in our county. Our unemployment is currently at 5.5, which is down from its highest in the pandemic of like 7.7, 7.8. Pre-pandemic, it was 4.2. And while that's higher than we would like, I like to put this in the context of the number of people, not the percentages. So at 5.5%, that's roughly 1,460 people versus basically about 1,168 pre-pandemic, and probably what I would call our average pre-pandemic. So the difference between those two numbers is basically about 292 people who are still not back to work, which is a very positive sign. As you know, we were huge numbers of people unemployed through this thing. So most of our unemployed have gotten back into the workplace. Some of them are waiting because of the uncertainty still with the pandemic, worried about future closures. That's probably a reason why we're not at 4.4. But I think that day will come. More good news that people don't realize is that we have jobs. We have 56 jobs within a 10-mile radius of right here in Crescent City. 56 open jobs. We have over 2,200 jobs within 25 miles of Crescent City. So we have jobs, everything from front desk clerking to engineering and everything in between. So that's good news. So I know, and I'm gonna have to go from here to over there so I can show a few things on the screen. I know last year someone came and talked to you a little bit about opportunity zones. So most of you are aware that the chamber began launching a campaign to market our opportunity zones. We have 3, and one, of course, is in Crescent City. Our goal is to secure more projects from both local investment and out-of-town investments. But we should all think about these opportunity zones as just another tool to help us be successful at economic development and community development. So I'm gonna move over, and all I really want to do is give a brief introduction to what you can find in these. Oh, no, I got it. Thank you, Deb. So this is the Putnam County Chamber's website, putnamcountychamber.com. And this is where you can find, and the screen is not very legible, but the first thing you can click on is the basics. So if you didn't know anything about opportunity zones, you could go and read all about the legislation, why it was created, how it benefits potential investors and communities. And again, I'm not going to go through the entire show. I just want to show everyone where they can access this information. So this piece in the middle is a 41-page document. I left a printed copy too. But this is an actual prospectus that gives investors or residents or anybody else a deep dive into all of the demographics and opportunities within the 3 zones. I have taken the liberty, in case I couldn't get online, of printing out the sheets that are buried in that prospectus on each zone, and I printed you each Crescent cities. So you would have that. On the short sheet that's also on the website, at the bottom, you can also print more, look at more, send more. It gives you a snapshot of just Crescent City, the median household, the housing data. You should know on the bottom, the workforce snapshot and the employment by industry is all of the zones. That's not just Crescent City, but the top portion. So the median income of 31,458. In comparison, the county as a whole, their median income is 47,670. And as you probably know at this point, opportunity zones were selected by the governor's office as the poverty census tracts. So you would expect that income to be lower. So we also have a mapping tool, and I'm not going to click on it because it's time consuming, and I know y'all have other business to do tonight. But you can literally put in an address and check to make sure it's in the zone. It will highlight the entire zone. So there's a mapping tool as well. You know, again, this is just another incentive to try and draw investment into low-income communities. If you're asking, you know, questions like what can we do to help the process, you know, one of the things that y'all can do as a community is make sure if you know of sites that are zoned commercial or industrial, you know, get us that information so we can put it in our inventory. And then we have a consultant, Madison Street. They were actually on the staff with the governor's office that chose the census tracts. So they're very knowledgeable about the zones. They have relationships with zone fund investor groups. So, you know, what we need is input on those parcels once you have them, and we want to help you. And despite COVID, there are still many, many, many investors still looking for opportunities to invest and put their money in. And they have obviously a big benefit when they use an opportunity zone project. So I'm gonna step back over here and just go through a few things on the tourism side of the house. But I want to just give you a quick run through on what you can find on the zone. If you have any questions, obviously call me. I'm happy to help.
We might have some at the end of your presentation. So,
Excuse me.
I said we might have some at the end of your
Oh,
presentation.
okay. On the tourism side of the house, as y'all know, the chamber, or maybe you don't know, and I'll say that first before I run this one thing. The Chamber of Commerce is the tourism agency for the entire county. We have a bed tax in Putnam County that visitors pay, not residents, and that monies is collected by our tax collector. And then the chamber utilizes those funds to market and promote the entire county. So I'm gonna just show you a couple things we're doing. One of them is our newest commercial that is currently running nationwide.
Crowds were never a thing anyway in Bergen County. We prefer social distancing. After all, when you have the water, the wind, and the disposal, you have everything you need for a much needed vacation or just a long weekend in as safe a way as possible. Get out and get a sense of real Florida. Explore Putnam County.
So like I said, we're doing a national television run on that. It ran January, February, and we'll run it again in May and June. We also have a series of Facebook ads. I made a copy for y'all too. You might go see the copies I made better than you can on this screen. So these display ads, they are targeted in certain areas. Right now it's Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, and Asheville. And of course, the way that works is if you're visiting, I mean, if you live there and you're on Facebook, that paid ad to one of those display ads will appear in your Facebook feed. We also are doing some digital campaigns that are more like the display ads. That you can see on this screen now. And those have been also run in Mobile, Atlanta, and Charlotte. So I can do this from my living room a lot better than I can in real life.
You're doing great.
So one of the things I wanted to just briefly touch on, and I'm sure most of y'all know, we hosted the Bassmaster Elite Tournament in February. And it did look different from when we hosted in 2020. Obviously, it was a scaled down version, limited fans, limited vendors. But it still has a huge impact. And a lot of people ask often, you know, well, how do y'all do those? You know, what's so important about those? And so I just wanted to share some of those kind of numbers that make that benefit reach as high as $2 million economic impact into Putnam County. And as you know, those people, they stay all through the county, you know, fish camps, hotels, everywhere. They eat everywhere. They spend money, they practice fish, they're in the market 7 nights. So it's over like 1,100 room nights generated that puts money back into the vet tax. After our event in February, we received a by the numbers kind of report from Bassmaster. And on the first page, I'm going to read it, I was just so shocked. It said the 2021 APCO Bassmaster Elite at St. Johns River experienced the highest fan engagement of any Elite Series event in history. That would just pull me over. And then they spoke about the numbers. They had over 520,000 record streams. They had television attendance at peak Sunday at 209,000 viewers. They had over 12 million page views, you know, the event streams live. So we got already to date over 6 hours of television just from that one thing. And of course, it shows all the parts of the county. I don't know if you had that opportunity to see the production, but
Oh, yeah, it was
Very
on my
nice.
TV. Yes, it was.
yes,
That they had some really good footage of Lake Crescent.
yes,
They
they
did
did.
have some really good footage of Lake
They
Crescent.
have so anglers that fish down there. So, you know, basically tonight, I mean, I just wanted to come down here. I wanted to share a little bit of both sides of what we do, economic development and tourism. I'd like to come back again and bring our newest hire, Sam Ruiz. He is going to be doing economic development, and maybe we could even have a workshop in the future, or we could just discuss kinds of projects you would like or what kinds you would not like, and maybe have some more dialogue. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you don't, I'm happy for y'all to move to your next item.
Do we have any questions, Commissioner DeVito?
Yeah, I do have a couple questions. Well, first of all, I have a comment, and I don't know if the rest of the commission will agree, but I think it would be a good idea for us to have a workshop with your new economic development officer, or because I think in particular, it's important that the community be able to give input on what kind of projects they would find desirable. I think that personally sounds wonderful. One observation I have about the ad campaign for tourism. I've had some questions for a long time. I've looked at the chamber ad page because you had told me about it, and you and I had a very helpful discussion. And this is just a comment, and maybe we can talk about this another day, and maybe this could be the subject of a workshop. The ads are great, but what I don't see for Putnam County, and particularly for South County, because we're very small, particularly in the 32112 zip code, our businesses are very limited. And I don't see a way for people who see the ad about coming to Putnam County to really drill down and connect with our specific businesses. And that is something that I think could help us. I see that other places that I go, there's more the ability, once you, to use a fishing metaphor, when you take the ads and you put people in and they think they want to come to Putnam County, to me, I think it would help if we could create that connectivity so they could hook not just the big fish, the business that's easy to find on Google, but that we could lift up our small businesses and give them that connectivity so that the minnows could benefit also. So that's a fishing metaphor for the day, but that I don't expect you to answer that. I'm just saying that's something that also I would hope that we could work on.
Okay. We are actually looking at a tool that would be, if we go to it, it's not exactly an app, but it's kind of an app, but it's driven by a person and they land in your community. And people in the community would have the ability to put their information in it. So it wouldn't just be the stuff that's big enough, like you said, to be the first thing on Google when they are here Googling where to go and where to shop and where to eat.
Right.
So
for example, you know, some of our restaurants are very, very small. I don't think they have a web presence, and as well, all kinds of businesses that would, that people need. You know, people are always saying on social media, where do I find this? Where do I find that? It would help the snowbird as well, you know, connect with the services they need and then help some of the smaller businesses access that.
they do have a directory on our website, but it is limited to chamber members.
Right, exactly. And yeah, so, but anyway.
But yeah, good discussion. I'm
Thank you.
happy to.
And Commissioner Burton, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just curious, you have a lot of these display ads and stuff. Do you have any, have you seen any numbers as to how many people that actually brought into this area?
Let's say that Google Analytics, on who's seeing it and how many times and how long they view it. And we're trying to work with a couple of our hoteliers to see if they can start giving us data on zip codes. They can't tell us who's there, but a couple of them are willing to start pulling zip code data for us to look at that.
Okay, and then I have another question now. You know, we have a bed tax. Is there any money in there for Crescent City?
The money in there is specifically for the entire county by statute and by the county's ordinance. So it's all utilized to market the whole county in its entirety, and it's granted through
But
awards.
how does Crescent City access some money from it?
A lot of the applicants from here have accessed it and been granted funds like Catfish Festival, the Plum Play House, the Holiday Festival. I didn't bring this notes.
They're doing that through the grant program. I think they're doing that. Are they doing that through the grant program?
Yeah, it's a grant program, so many applicants from.
And so this grant program is actually the bed tax money?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just think that that particular grant program is very, very narrow. That, you know, just looking at that, but anyway, okay. All right.
Do we have Commissioner? Thanks. Okay.
Thank you
Dana,
very
well,
much.
Dana, I do have a question. Would it help you, I mean, if we could provide for you an inventory of vacant lots within the city?
It's
Commercial,
always helpful, as
commercial.
long as they have infrastructure, if they have a building on, that's even better, but if they have infrastructure, just a plain lot, residential zone probably isn't
No, but commercial.
commercial or
Okay.
industrial with infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commission, today I spoke with Mr. Weary and he's reaching out to find out what's going on with this lot over here. It doesn't look as if this lot has been marketed for some time. And so, that's something that we can also have up for some discussion.
Yeah, and we could also, you know, once we get the details from Mr. Weary, we'll be happy to put it in our inventory, we can get on that inventory as well.
Okay. Do you currently have any people looking into this opportunity zone down in Crescent City?
I do have one project that is looking at a possibility for an opportunity zone project that would be located in the zone here in Crescent City.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for
You're
coming
very
down.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
for having me.
Thank you, Dana. Okay. I'm going to move on to 7B, which is our Clarion report. I did not introduce Karen. Karen is she's our new administrative assistant. Thank you, Karen. She came on Monday. She's doing a fine job. She came back Tuesday. I was so thankful. And then she came back Wednesday and she showed up today. So Karen, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay, thank you.
Planning, zoning. Planning, zoning, recommendation, people.
Sorry. We're not supposed to look for.
Yeah, well, right now we've got a Clarion.
Okay,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I didn't see it anywhere on the
okay.
thing, that's all.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. Great to see everyone again. It's been probably a little over a month since our last presentation to you. So in that time, what you have authorized to do is perform a 1-month assessment. And in that assessment, we evaluated the systems, process, and structure of the city, particularly its finance department. Evaluated and then provided a list of recommendations and kind of our analysis of where to go from here with regard to the city. There were some areas of urgency that needed to be addressed, namely the impending departure, retirement of the finance director and Peapod. So that's what we've done. My director of outsourced services, Mike Fitzgerald, who's here with me, available to addressing questions relating to this report that we provided in our packet. He's here and available to address them. What I want to do is just give a very quick 5 to 7 minute overview. You've already received our presentation and I'm sure you've digested it, but maybe I'll just go through some quick highlights of those 3 areas. The positions that they are in, the organizational hierarchy, and how it's structured currently, and where we think it needs to go. cross-functional tasks that would, again, create a lot of efficiency and better overall accountability of that function. They're all interrelated. We're taking in cash, we're recording cash, we're reconciling it. A lot of synergies among a lot of those duties that make sense to kind of put in the structure. And the elephant in the room, we've got, as I mentioned, the finance department, the finance director retiring. So what are we going to do with that? So what we suggested is in replacing that lost talent, hiring an accountant / fiscal clerk, so an accountant one, to handle those day-to-day operational duties, and then also hire a higher level finance director that handles a lot of this strategic planning, leadership type, and being a force to drive a lot of these recommendations that we're referring to. So that's how we've recommended that the structure will look like on a go-forward basis. And we'll talk about more kind of specifics on what that might look like in just a bit. Then we've got process. So a lot of what we highlighted in the process was just straight from your 2019 audit financial statements, where we had 8 significant deficiencies and material weaknesses, a lot of which are repeat findings. So this is very problematic for the city on a number of fronts. One, if those findings continue to repeat for 3 more years, then you get, I guess, on what I call the naughty list of the state. So you've got the JLAC, which is the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, that's going to start sending you a letter to say we've identified these findings that have repeated for 3 years in a row. What is your corrective action plan? And you, as a governing body, needs to respond to that. So that's a serious matter. We've also got the Board of Auditor General that looks at these things, and based on the risk profile of certain areas, might perform performance audits and look at some of the operational and financial things going on within the city, and based on their findings, that can create another host of problems. So we want to avoid all of that. So that's why we need high-level expertise at the finance director position to be able to tackle that immediately and remediate those findings so that they don't persist. Beyond that, we also have a number of procedural items, and we noted them throughout the presentation, where there's just inherent inefficiency. So if we can create more efficiency, then that creates an ability for us to do more, our internal people to do more value-added tasks and assignments within the city, instead of a lot of double entry, keying in things in 2 different systems, which also then takes me to the system discussion. And so one, finishing on the process side, we had finding 2019-05 on utility billing rates. So this is, again, a system issue that is overcharging certain customers $2.22 on sewer charges that the system, we can't figure out how to solve on the system side, except until we implement the new utility billing system within what's called Edmunds GovTech. That, again, has not been implemented to date, and the city's made a considerable financial investment in this. So that's very important to not only remediate that fine and charge customers the correct amount, but also create more efficiency by implementing a new system that's going to work better and more effectively on a go-forward basis. So that takes us to the system side, and we denote that on slide 13 what some of those yeses and nos are that we've gone live on within Evans. So there's certain things, utility billing, work orders, online payment provisions, inventory, accounts payable, accounts receivable, business licensing. Those are capabilities that we have in our current system that we've paid a lot of money for already, but we're not utilizing. So the quicker that we can do that, the better the city will be. That takes resources, that takes time and talent that's needed in order to execute on that. In addition to simply maximizing our use of our new accounting system, Edmunds, there's also other things on the banking side. We've got more than 20 bank accounts that we perform reconciliation. It seems like an endless function that we can consolidate. So make some banking system changes. There's automation capability that is available for payroll processing, automating that more. Currently, our payroll is weekly. That's done by our staff. It's a time-consuming effort, more so than it needs to be. So we need to evaluate the potential to outsource that in order to, again, free up that time to do other more value-added tasks. So a lot of opportunities on the system side to automate things better, get on a new, more improved platform in order to create operational efficiencies. Then on slide 16, we kind of just lay it out. And here's our top items on our priority list. And kind of lay it from 1 to 10. And again, these things won't be overnight, so this isn't something that we can snap our fingers and in 2 weeks we come back to and say this is all remediated. But if we take the proper action, we can get these things done. That's what kind of slide 17 shows. Over an 18 months or so transition plan, we can knock all these things out, and the city will look a lot different, a lot better then than it does now. So we've laid out our 1 through 10 priority items. So the top priority is the fact that you do have a retired finance director, and you need to address that ASAP, and that's a decision you need to make immediately. So we suggested hiring 1 full-time accountant in finance to handle some of the day-to-day duties, and then also bringing on a cleric in our firm and as an interim finance director to handle those high-level strategic type duties, functions, responsibilities. It's where that knowledge, expertise, and experience is needed in order to get these things done and move them along. So, and then I also recently provided, I think it was passed out to you, kind of what kind of a cost scenario looks like. And so they're basically what we're saying from a pure financial outlay. You know, you got to make a decision. Do we feel, based on what we're providing here in our report, is an investment in the city's operations necessary here, or can we just do a Band-Aid approach? We have a retiring finance director. Let's just go find some bookkeeper that we can just pay the same and just keep things going the way they are. If you really believe that, then you're really not listening to or you don't believe in the report that we're providing, and that's perfectly within your right to have that opinion. But if you believe in the importance of these issues, the fact that we've had finding after finding out audit reports that were outlining all these issues that need to get resolved, the fact that we have a system that we invested in well over a year ago that probably 40% of it is completely underutilized, that we need to make some changes and make them fast so we can get ourselves up to where we need to be. And so that's how, and the last slide on slide 18, that the Clarion believes that we can help in that area. Be your outsourced finance director, hire an accountant to eventually replace Debbie, and then again, work through all these recommendations that we offer, streamlining processes to bring the city where it needs to be. And then from there, you will see savings over time, both soft dollars and cost dollars, from time saved and automating certain efforts. Evaluating things like, for example, we have done a utility rate study in 10 years, so looking at our fee schedules, looking at where we're charging customers for various fees and charges for services, and make sure from a budgetary standpoint that we're charging what we need to charge and that we're prudently spending the city's funds. So those are all the things that we can help as a finance director. I think that level of expertise is needed. It's been a bit lacking. The city's, we've gotten along to where we have, but we're kind of at that point where change is needed and we think we can help. But again, this is kind of what we've laid out as far as our recommendations. And again, any questions you have specifically on those before I want to spend the bulk of our time, since I mean, had this report and today we digest it. So again, Mike Fitzgerald and I are here to address any questions you have, and hopefully we can start talking about what the future will look like.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions? I'm sure we have a lot of questions. Who wants to start?
I want to know how much this is going to cost. Can we afford it?
Question
Sure.
might be, can we not afford it?
Right.
And I guess, I mean, I can answer that. You know, if you think you can afford it, I might ask why not. If you've got great financial data about the city's finances that'll allow you to make that informed decision, then that makes sense. But I'm just from an outsider looking in, just looking at your 2019 audit financial statements, you've got $1,973,773 of unassigned fund balance in the general fund. That means you've got reserves that aren't committed, reserved, restricted to certain specific purposes that are available for use. The GFOA, or Government Finance Officers Association, says you should have approximately 2 months of unassigned fund balance available based on 2 months of operating expenditures. So your operating expenditures are 165,000, or excuse me, yeah, so 165,000. Sorry, your operating expenditures are 1.9 million. Divide that by 12, you get 165,000. Multiply that by 2, 330,000 is kind of what's needed in your fund balance. You've got 1.3 million, which is 8 months of unassigned fund balance. You've been accumulating resources over time. And whether that financial picture has been presented to you and you get, good budget to actual data, and those are some of the things that we aspire to provide you. Or if it's not us, a finance director should be providing you to let you know what does the city's finances look like today, tomorrow, and the future, to give you a good depiction to allow you to make informed decisions. So just basing on, well, gee, that sounds expensive, I don't know if we can afford it. I appear to understand your concerns, but if we just look at what the city's finances look like from the 2019 audit financial statements, you're well positioned in terms of your reserves to be able to make an investment in something like making all these changes on a go-forward basis, given that you have 1.3 million in unassigned fund balance and only 1.9 million of annual operating expenditures.
Could I just clarify something?
Yes, Commissioner Gaines.
So when you say the 1.3 million in unassigned fund balances, does that include the utilities and gas?
That's general fund. That's general fund. So utilities, which is where, general fund is where the payroll, the person and additional professional services costs would come out of, since they come out of finance.
Right.
And then on the utility side, you've got net position, unrestricted net position of 176,000 in gas and 692,000 in water and sewer.
Right, because one concern I have is, I think we have a whopping, and don't we have still an 800,000 loan balance in the gas department?
We have the gas and we have the sewer too. I'm not sure what the exact amount is like this minute, but it's quite large.
Right, but then the interest is tens of thousands of dollars a month, isn't that correct? Don't we pay a very high interest payment each month?
We make the payment for gas. I think it's one is once a year, one is twice a year. We just make a payment, but the interest is high, yes.
Right, but I mean, I seem to remember that there was a check that was for something like $40,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is like you could fund the position with that. But anyway, but Andrew, so there's really 2 positions, and I'm sorry, Judy.
No, that's
we can go
fine.
back to you.
No.
There's 2 positions. There's the finance director position, which you're proposing that we use your firm for the temporary finance director. And you've got a cost for that, which is really $7,400 a month, $6,500 fee plus 900 travel. But can you give us an idea of the qualifications and what we would need to pay for the accountant fiscal clerk as well?
Sure, from a cost perspective, we think that would be largely cost neutral.
Okay, but what I'm trying to get a sense of is, would we be paying for that position essentially what we are now paying for Ms. Peacock's position?
Correct. That's
Okay.
the cost neutral element of it. So we want to try to hire an individual with an accounting background, ideally a degree accountant. Obviously the market here is different than the market elsewhere, so we would see what available talent pool that we have from the candidates and try to select the best one. But I think in terms of the pay scale, it would be relatively in line with what we were paying them.
Okay, and would you be able to assist us in writing that job description?
Absolutely, that would be part of what we do. We assist with the drafting of the job description, posting, the interview process, the whole 9 yards, and then, of course, upon hiring that new individual, bringing them on into the role and ensuring their success.
Right, and Mayor, I'd like to make my comment to you and the other commissioners. I think they've done a good presentation, but for Commissioner West, very good question. Can we afford it? One thing I thought we should hear from is from Ms. Peacock, because she is our finance director. And she tells us where the money actually, she tells us how much money we have. And so to me, we need to hear her speak to that
Okay,
in
well,
terms of our budget.
We can, but right now we need to.
Sure. Okay, but I'm just saying, I think that's part of the.
And I believe, Andrew, Debbie handed this to me earlier. Is this the job description that you proposed? I think it's, Debbie, is that correct? The job position?
Yes, that's what you
Okay.
gave me.
Okay,
Draft.
so it's very detailed, very well written. Thank you. And I'll make sure that we share that with everyone else. And if they need to. Yes, sir, Commissioner Banks.
Well, I just wanted to ask for a round figure of, let's say we just hire your firm for a year. What that figure look like?
How much?
How much would that cost? Is that what
Yes.
Yeah. About 88,800
A year.
a year. Yes.
I think you need to clarify that that would be for 1 year, and then after that, we would hopefully be in a position where we would need that type of service, correct?
Well, and that was gonna be my question. So, it looks like where you wanna take us eventually, okay, is into, kind of a financial, group all of our finances together into one department, correct? In other words, you have a financial director for, it says here, utility billing and everything else that we have. So you want to bring that all into one kind of group. Is that correct? I mean, right now, I think we're kind of separated or something.
Yeah, our departmental makeup is very segregated, and so in the area of accounting, finance, payroll, utility billing, we feel it all makes more sense to come under one roof.
So now I just have a question for Ms. Peacock. For the utility billing, do we have an accountant that helps with that as well?
I do all the accounting for a utility billing. They process their reports every day, make their deposits, and then I go over them and I verify them before they're posted.
So,
Historically, my understanding is utility billing used to be under, am I correct? Used to be under the finance director. Debbie, is that correct? Utility
Yes.
billing used to be, and then it got moved out from that. Okay,
and I think that's where he wants to bring it.
right. He wants to bring it back in.
But I'm just saying, from the looks of it, we get a finance director and we're gonna need 2 accountants.
Well, we have one, we just need one more, because we have Sheila.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay,
We
so
have
we do have
Sheila.
Sheila, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's where.
We need one more person.
So we're paying Debbie.
Yeah, to work with it. But I still haven't got a solid answer from you. And how much your firm charged us for a year to take care of that tax.
Sure, I think that was a one-page document. that we
I just
provided
handed
out.
that to you.
So that's a monthly amount, and multiply that by 12, I believe that's a 88 to 89,000. And again, to the city manager's point, engaging with a firm like ours gives you the flexibility, right? We've got what I'll call somewhat of a crisis right now, whether you believe it or not. I mean, the warning signs are there. We've got issues we've got to fix, structural issues, procedural issues, technological issues. So we need to get those resolved. And doing nothing but just finding some of the bookkeeping background to replace Debbie, we don't think is going to suffice. So it's making an upfront investment that over time, that fee changes, right? And so because you're engaging us as a professional services firm, providing this to you, what our relationship to you in 12 to 18 months can look a lot different than what it does now, right? We want to utilize us for the needs at hand, and then the needs at hand 12 to 18 months from now look different, and that can reduce our cost structure. I mean, you don't need us at all, and that's perfectly fine. We can train up that accountant to be your next finance director and operate well, very well independently. Or maybe we're just there to help out with the year-end audit and budgeting process at different times in the year, and that's paying us on a semi-annual basis. It's much smaller amount, and that's what works for the city. So we're going to work with you on that end. But basically, based on the 30-day assessment that we provided, that we performed and provided these results, this looks like a good 1 year to 18-month commitment to implement all of these recommendations we're saying, get you to that point where you can more heavily rely on an in-house accountant that you hire to be able to perform those higher level duties. And then our responsibilities, what our scope of services might change drastically in the future.
Okay, so you're looking at about a year to kind of get us, well, I'm looking at your plan here, and actually it looks pretty good. And I don't know, I feel that we need to kind of move forward towards a more efficient and effective way of doing business. I mean, there's just no way of getting around it. And so we do, I mean, you're gonna be able to implement the Edmonds, you're gonna be able to get that on board with the utility and.
Yep, we project manage the whole thing.
Okay, so you're gonna do that, and basically what you're saying in approximately 12 to 18 months, as these things come on board, hopefully there's not as much of you as there is an accountant that's maybe putting data in, and the cost of of that will come down. But we still would retain you as the primary financial director.
You can retain us as finance director, but that cost structure could change dramatically. But right now, we just see a lot of needs and a lot of involvement. But
Well,
again,
I agree too. So, okay, I mean, I think I like the plan.
Then once we get it set up correctly, then we'll have two in-house people that would be attached to the city permanent.
of course,
In-house, like Sheila and
yeah.
who else we have. And then-
Yes, we're excited to work with Sheila. She was excited to what this next chapter could look like. She's going to be an integral part in all of this, as well as the person that we hired that replaces Debbie. They're going to be the boots on the ground that are doing this work under our guidance and supervision, not only taking care of the things that need to get done on a day-to-day basis, but also moving the needle forward on implementing these recommendations, getting the city more efficient, as your fellow commissioner said, to get us to the place that we need to be. And that's where our assistance comes in. You don't want to hire us at that price point to do data entry, right? It's not financially advantageous to do that, right? So we've got the individuals capable of doing that. The problem is, if you only rely on those individuals to do everything, then they're going to miss out on the strategic planning and again, the moving that needle forward as it needs to go to implement all these recommendations. And that's where that extra director level assistance is needed that we can provide you with a number of other communities. And again, it's not does not need to be a long-term commitment at that price point. We scale as necessary as we advance in our relationship.
And go ahead. Go ahead.
But another problem, it just bothers me because, I always, when we get our yearly audit passed out to us, also have a letter with our inefficiency. And a whole lot of stuff that we're seeing popping up on your report don't be on their report. It looked like to me it should have been on their report at some point.
You know,
Is that
that's
making
what
my
he
point
said.
clear?
Well,
Is that clear?
Yeah,
But I think that's what he's saying.
that's what he's saying.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
We have a lot of things.
And those are the things that they will help clear up and just help us with
Yeah,
that.
but they don't have that many.
I think what Commissioner Banks is saying is that the audit includes specific details, go into much greater detail about what are auditing or what are essentially violations of the auditing standards and practices. Honestly, we will probably get hit again this year. After 3 years of audit problems, the state joint legislative auditing committee will be sent, or, you know, and we'll be notified that we have to then go in and explain and come up with a plan to rectify what the auditors have given. What they will be doing, Commissioner Banks, is helping us address that, because that's going to happen, and showing the joint legislative auditing committee what we have in place to rectify it over the next 18 months.
Mayor, if I could,
Well, in just one moment, Commissioner West had a question.
I
First.
want to know, after 18 months, if you get this in place, what will be your position or what will you do after that?
I mean, that's obviously difficult to give you.
I know you can't be specific, but will you be overseeing our process as we move on? If we-
Yes, at yours, in the city manager's, you know, what we desire is the best use of our time, right? Our time is money, so if our less of our time is needed, it's like, hey, let's focus for clarity on these critical elements, because we've done all the basic blocking and tackling, all these different, okay, we've implemented elements to its fullest extent, we've implemented a lot of these automation type procedural enhancements, and now, you know, we've got things on autopilot. So let's focus a clarity on some of these big ticket items, getting the audit done, getting a clean opinion, so we don't get those audit reports of all those findings every year. Having a focus on that, making sure we get a clean audit opinion. We're going through the budgeting process, making sure we're up and up on all our trim requirements through levying our millage rate and completing the budgeting process and making sure we're following all statutory requirements. That's where we want to start really having a clarity and focus this time and efforts on, which and that structure looks a lot different. We're now paying for clarity $2,000 a month, so now it looks like a $24,000 unification instead of $90,000.
Okay, that kind of gives me an idea. Thank you.
Commissioner DeVito.
right, I just wanted to follow up on what Commissioner Banks was saying, because I kind of thought a little bit the same he did. Hey, we got the audit report, and the letter from the auditors did not really raise so much alarm. And I think, well, for one thing, the discussion between, I know the first year I was on the commission, the discussion between Mr. Kennedy and the commission and the auditors was focused on, this isn't really that bad. We're a small city. We're doing the best we can. But no one, the auditors did not talk to us, and the city manager really did not talk to us about the issue of repeat problems. That the focus was just on fixing it for the year. So I share Commissioner Banks' concern that, hey, wait a minute, what's happened here? But I think it was a matter of what they were focusing on. And then I do have one question for you. At one point, and I wrote down the wrong page number, and I can't see too well through my glasses here, but you mentioned the goal of using a pooled cash treasury function. Can you explain what that is? I'm trying to find what it is.
Sure, this speaks to the problem of having so many different bank accounts. So we've got, the city has multiple different funds, right? So it has a gas fund, water and sewer fund. Within that water and sewer fund, it might have a reserve and replacement sub fund, a cash account, sort of deposit account, and a general fund, and a special budget fund. They don't all need separate bank accounts. So what the pooled cash concept is it takes it pools all of those different, what the cash balances are in each of those funds, each of those accounts is a representative of what's in this treasurer's fund or pooled cash fund that is the operating account of the city. So we can go from 26 bank accounts to one bank account. Unless there's some legal requirement that we have to have a separate bank account to maintain funds separately in some fiscal legal
Well, and
account.
to that point, is your firm qualified and knowledgeable enough, particularly with the utilities that we have? And just generally under state law, to know which funds need to be separate and which don't? And we rely on you for that.
Most definitely, yes, we look at your existing debt agreements to see if there's any, and even in a debt agreement where it says you need to maintain a reserve and replacement or a sinking fund, that can be in GL account only, does not require, but we look through that language, we can talk to your city attorney to confirm. But generally, I would consolidate everything and probably have a separate utility deposit bank account that's non-interest bearing. Because when it is interest bearing, then you get into issues of when you have to refund the deposit, okay, what's the interest associated with that? All those sort of, yes, the point is, we help governments implement that and consolidate where needed through all of our involvement with our foreign clients. So certainly well within our needs and our area of expertise. Mike Fitzgerald is city treasurer at the city of Tampa that had over $1 billion in assets. So and he's very well versed. Come up here and talk to you on all the bank reconciliation, automation techniques, and other things to be done in the city of Tampa. So yeah, you'll be in good hands with our team to make sure that gets done effectively.
Mike, I know that you've been the one that really has been here, and I would like to hear from you. This is, as we all know, this is a big investment, but we're investing in ourselves right now, and we need it. And that, as I will tell you, as mayor, one of my biggest concerns is finance of the city, and us getting ourselves in trouble. So anything that we need to do at this point in time, that just because we're a small city and we're doing the best we can, that doesn't cut it when you go to the state. And so we just need to be very cognizant of that as we go forward. And so, Mike, you've been here, you've had feet on the ground. Just tell us a little bit, as what you're seeing.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. First of all, it's a pleasure to work with Debbie. You're talking a lot of talent that you're going to be losing. And it's sort of sad as a finance person to see that much talent leave. Retirement's great, but cities have to have succession planning, and it's going to be hard to see Debbie leave. Sheila in finance, I worked with her a little bit. I was here for 4 different days, and she's just got a wonderful gung-ho to her. She says that she wants to learn more, et cetera, et cetera. I got a chance to meet with Jocelyn and utility, a lot of experience here. So the hearts are right, the people are right, I believe strongly in that. I just think that when you're in a smaller arena, unless you are taking your talent and shifting them to get their continuing education somewhere else, who's teaching them? They're just sitting here in the environment. Doctors, attorneys, CPAs, we have to go outside of our job to maintain our professional education. And I think probably that area wasn't looked at strong enough for a succession planning. And that's where you can get us in a short period, we're up to speed and we can fill that gap. But I would tell you, you've got everything here. It just needs a little bit of fine tuning. It's nothing, quote, wrong, but there are a few things that are starting to line up that if you do not do something, you're going to have more people from the state of Florida up here.
Tell us a little bit, with this Edmund system, the commission paid this $60,000, y'all, I'm not gonna say me, y'all. Y'all paid $60,000 for the software programming. And you and I talked earlier about this as far as making sure that we get our money's worth out of this. And can you talk a little bit, just share with us a little bit about that? Because I had that conversation with you and they did, as far as what happens oftentimes with the software programs.
So as the city made a decision some years ago to transition off IMS, your legacy software, you moved to Edmunds. And Edmunds has done a good job from what I can tell so far. I read their scope of work, I read their contract. We also had, Debbie was kind enough to arrange a call. We had a 1-hour call that I spoke to the project manager from Edmunds. But on page 13, it lays out the different phases. So far to date on the city's investment, Edmunds has done a good job. It's a difficult business, but they put in phase 1, which is payroll and HR on page 13. That went first, was my understanding. There were some hiccups like anything, but it's been resolved. We're moving forward. Then they moved into phase 2, which was the financial system, the general ledger, which is where your auditors are looking at, which is where your financial reporting comes from, and anything that goes external to your stakeholders. Requisitions, accounts payable, escrow module, and employee self-service module were all available. They're quote live. What we're looking at going forward is phase 3 with your software vendor. And it's a big one. It's so the remaining is utility billing. So Jocelyn's area of utility billing is still on the older system, which is causing some double entry and a few inefficiencies because the two systems do not talk to each other. So they have started the engagement again at Edmunds after a COVID break. And they project by June of this year, this summer, plus or minus, that they can have the utility billing software up and running for us here at the city. So not only is that a very important part because that's all the revenue and the billing for the gas, the water and sewer funds, but there's a few other lower level modules that come with that. And it's shown here on page 13, the online customer pay, work order capability. So for the technicians that can go out in the field and repair things, we can get into electronic workflow instead of having to come in and pick up paper orders or texting by phone. We have the inventory module, we have the accounts receivable module, and lastly, the business tax receipt or the business licensing module that's available to us still to come. So either all these will happen in June, or at least the utility billing component would in June, and then the others would be right behind them.
And you can help you can kind of push Edmunds along.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, that's an issue. Yeah.
They're doing the data pool Wednesday.
Okay.
So that's the first step is to
Okay.
pull the data and start working on it.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie.
And that's excellent. I saw a lot of positiveness on the recent call with them. And that's number 9 over on the slide. Start to talk about data conversion and pulling data, but this is their methodologies at Edmunds. Specifically, Mayor, that's what we do. That's our background. My former life, I was with Big Four accounting and I was a software implementation project manager. So whether we're here, we're on site, remote, we can join in on these calls. And I can challenge, and I have the expertise since I've done it, and other people in our firm, that we can hold them accountable to make sure that they're doing the right thing, Edmunds for the city.
I think that's because we've made a big investment with them, and that's very important. That's very important to me.
Yes.
That we do that. Okay, and then also with our rate study, and you said that we haven't done it possibly, and Debbie, is this correct? We haven't done a rate study in possibly
No.
11 years, 10
We
years?
had one in the last few years, but they did not do anything about it. Michael was going to have another one done.
Okay.
I don't know where that's at, but our rate study did say that we needed an increase.
We need to, yes, Commissioner DeVito.
Yeah, Mayor, if I could, my recollection that because we're a small city, it was the water rates that an organization did a rate study for us for no cost, right?
Correct.
So
There's some data there.
There's data, there's a document, there's a recommendation, and that organization, I don't know how many times they'll do it, but we have not acted on that. And that was, I think, in 2019.
Well, we need
Just a
to-
few years. Right, well, it could be before that, or I wouldn't have been here to receive it.
Okay.
But that, the water part was done. I do not think it applied
To the
to
gas?
gas.
I'm almost positive we had a gas rate study too, because they were talking about going up on the minimum.
Okay, well, that's important because you're saying that that should be
Yes.
assessed at least every 5 years.
Yes, ma'am. Typically, we see in best practices for the municipalities, they bring a consultant in, they establish a rate study. And then when that is done, the commission votes on that, the citizen vote, et cetera, and it's implemented. One is implemented, but more importantly, it's considered a good rate study when the commission puts in inflationary factors for the next remaining 4 years. Then we come back around the 5th year. Because one, if you didn't implement it, and two, if you did, but you have no inflationary, you're providing pay raises to your employees, the cost of business is going up. So you need to, offset that. And that's where a financial director, a strong finance team can run profit and loss statements, break even, so on and so on. The bond analysts are doing it for us. They just may not be sharing it, but they're watching.
Okay. And that's with your strategic planning also, and looking at our budget from a strategic standpoint, and that possibly we're going to be hiring you, but you might be saving us money down the road. You would be looking into ways that in our budget that you can find savings.
Absolutely, it's cyclical. We'll be working with your interim city manager and your permanent city manager on what's important to the commission, the city, the community, the citizens. And there will be a structured operating budget and a structured 5-year capital improvement plan. Those can include insourcing, outsourcing, and anything above. But everything comes back around. And I go back to the utility and the debt. Once your outside stakeholders start seeing that the state is looking at you, or things start to happen, your interest rate, your cost of capital will go up. So as you go to borrow, your bond ratings go down. So there's a lot of impetus for us to really stay straight and narrow and keep this going straight.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions?
I have one. What's the deliveries dictionary, number 13 on page 13?
Okay, that is Edmund's vocabulary from their contract. And I would tell you that a deliverables dictionary, I'm not sure exactly what that means, that's theirs, but they have a 17-step methodology from the beginning of your implementation to the end so that you're successful. This is something that I would need to challenge them on. As Debbie mentioned, we just did step 9, but a deliverables dictionary most likely to me is like an appendix or a table of contents. It's a summary of everything they've delivered so that you have a permanent file.
All right, thank you. That makes sense.
Okay, so I guess the other question too that needs to come up, because Debbie really does want to retire. So how soon, if you were to step in as interim, I mean, what's our time frame? I mean, and in fairness to Debbie as well.
So Clarion is ready to go. We're available to get going. We've already got the computer with IT. Thank you for remote access, so on and so on. The reality is we really shouldn't let Debbie go because she's got the institutional knowledge.
Yeah.
So you're looking at posting a job ad for 2 to 4 weeks, and we will help out on the interviews with the city manager. We'll get the best candidate we can and get that person on board. Hopefully they live real close, they're a city member. And with, say, 60 to 90 days of Debbie's transfer of knowledge, with us learning as well as a backup and providing the oversight, we can get there. So I think we're still looking from the day you run the newspaper ad, 90 days.
You're never going to
No, she's
retire.
looking at the end of May.
It's already been a year.
Shoot.
Now, that's to do it nicely and calmly.
Okay, wait just a second. Yes, Mr. Leary.
So we also could work in a fashion to where she could, work part-time, or we can work around her schedule and that type of thing. And then, she can give us a deadline. Hey, I'm going to be out of here by this day. So
Well, she gave me one today, but we might have to rethink that one, but
Mayor, I think, Commissioner, I'm looking on page 16, and it's very clear. The top priority that Aquarian gave us was hire that accountant. I think that is our marching order, and Debbie seconded that we have to have, because that's the transition. Right.
That is.
And we needed that help anyway, because we could not get everything done anymore because of the new system and how much time it's taken to implement it. And so we really did need more help to start with.
And you'll work with Mr. Leary on that job, with that job description between Debbie and,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought it was very well written. Okay.
Mayor, I would like to say that most of these problems that we had, we've pretty much taken care of them. And I've answered them back. We are still waiting to get, our letter and our pre-audit. But besides the utility billing rates and the due funds, we're pretty much okay. We weren't doing our financial statements. We had, when we hired them, we talked to them about that we're going to have to prepare them. And so I don't think we're going to get a really bad review this time. I'm hoping, but we won't know for a few more weeks. They're still closing it out right now.
So preparation of the financial statements, are you saying they're doing it, or?
Well, yes, the auditors do those reports. And if that's what I'm assuming that means, the end of the year reporting and all.
It's a combination. The management, the city, is responsible for maintaining the financial records. And management provides at least a trial balance to the auditors. And then, yes, you're correct, from a scope of work, they can either perform that all the way through to include writing some documentation. But, and I can let Andrew jump in a little bit further on that, the small city here. He's our resident auditor.
Yeah, a lot of that finding emanates of, while the auditor could prepare the financial statements as an administrative type service on behalf of the city's management needs to have the knowledge and capability and expertise and understanding of every component of those financial statements, that management could draft those financial statements on its own. And so if we demonstrate that capability, then there's no finding. If we haven't, then that's where that finding. So things like, knowledge of all the GASB statements and, pension and GASB 68 and OPEB and GASB 75 and all the related no disclosure requirements. And someone at the city knows all of that and demonstrates that, and that really is the finding. But oftentimes when there's a knowledge gap there, that's why that particular finding is given.
Okay.
And so, we could easily draft financial statements. We have our clients. If the auditor does it, we can easily, complete disclosure checklist and demonstrate to the auditors that yes, we're capable of knowledgeable to be able to sufficiently review this and eliminate that finding.
Okay, Commissioner, yes.
So it seems to me, item number 2 on here is hire a Clarion for interim finance director. I mean, technically, we signed a contract to hire them for 1 month, and that month is done.
Right.
So, and we are asking them to coordinate the transition between.
No, that's if we were to hire them. That's if we were to hire them, we're asking them to coordinate it.
Exactly.
That's if we're to hire them.
Yes.
So we have a decision to make, Commission.
And so, Mayor, before
Yes, sir.
you debate the decision, let me just give you my input. As interim city manager, and I've been working on this with Mr. Esposito all week, and then you and I, of course, met with the team this afternoon. This is priority 1. This is the first hurdle that we need to start to get over, to start turning this process around and moving in the right direction. And not only just for me as the interim city manager, but any city manager that would applicant who would look to come into the city, this is what they're gonna look at first. And if there's not a plan, you're gonna have very little interest in somebody coming here.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Andrew, Andrew, in the documents that you gave us, there is not a proposed contract. The price on the price sheet that I asked Mike for at the beginning of the week is I think it's the same as the price on the 1 month contract, correct?
Yes, I believe when we first provided the former city manager with a month-to-month contract that was also priced at $6,500 base fee. So what we would do is provide you with a contract, and then the next meeting, put on the consent agenda for approval. If that's the direction you want to go, we can provide a contract immediately.
Okay, so my real question is, I mean, we don't have anything in front of us, but are you amenable to that month-to-month contract?
Yes, so we can do month to month, and with a 30, I believe there's a 30-day written notice for now, if you no longer want to utilize our services.
Okay, so essentially, we have a projection of how long we would need you, but the contract we would sign would be month to month with the 30-day.
Cancellation.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Yep. So you
And
stay-
Jay would, of course, you would be working with Jay on that contract.
And Bobby?
And Bobby.
So, month to month, do you really want? I mean, is that what you want? I mean,
yeah,
if the price of beans go up $10 a can, if I was on month to month, I'd talk to you about some more money.
I think how you should probably, my suggestion is that we do the contract with the option that we have a 30-day notice out and not necessarily a month to month. I would agree with you.
Yeah, 12-month contract with a 30-day, right?
With a 30-day out.
We can do that.
Okay.
so you'll guarantee us the price for 12 months.
Correct. We can do that.
Okay, so commission. Do I have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Where?
Yes. Do we have a motion? I need a motion.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I move that we hire a Clarion LLC for our interim finance director. Yeah, no, so I have to think about that. For 1 year for the price of $6,500 fee plus travel costs not to exceed $900 a month. The 12-month period with an option on our part to give a 30-day cancellation notice with no penalty for the time remaining.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
When does this start?
When do you project to get started?
It's up to you. We can start, if you make the motion and approve it, we could start, or immediately, or we can start upon providing you with the contract, going through legal review, putting it on a consent agenda at a future meeting, and approving them, and that could be our initial start date.
For May 1st, for example?
We could start May 1st, sure.
I'm a little concerned about this gap period.
Yes.
I mean, my suggestion was that we, if we can come to an agreement that we
Go
pay them
immediately.
starting April 1st, that we pay them for what they've done. And we essentially let them start as soon as possible.
And I think if we approve it, we don't have to bring the contract back. That's between Jay and, I mean, we've given the conditions of the contract. So we don't have to bring the contract back. So,
And we can start effective April 1st.
Right, so can I amend my motion to say with a starting date effective April 1st?
And I'll second.
I've already passed April first. That's what I mean. Okay, I just want to make sure that we know that, everybody knows that. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any other discussion? Okay, everyone in favor?
Public comment? I don't know.
Are we having a public comment?
Yes. So,
I need you to step to the podium, please, and introduce yourself.
Diane Sykes, 304 Chestnut Street.
Mhm.
I'm a little concerned, wasn't Joe Smith and somebody who's been on the commission for a while, now, when did he file from combining accounts?
I'm sorry, who was that?
Joe Smith.
You weren't here.
That's
He
what I'm
was a
saying.
former city manager.
Was he doing what, Diane? I didn't.
Combining accounts. Combining bank accounts, putting money all in one lump instead of,
I don't think that, had to do with his term.
I don't think that was much of what was that.
okay, so that's,
And I know just in general to have 21 to 27 accounts is a little extreme. So I know that we do need to work on how to consolidate some of those accounts and making sure that we do them lawfully.
Well, I'm also looking forward to not having to sign the.
We got a big one today.
Okay, do you have any other comments, Ms. Sykes?
we got dinged on the segregation of duties. Was that because we did segregate duties or because we didn't? Did not, but now you're talking about bringing them all together.
I can address that.
It's just questions, obviously. Go ahead.
Consolidating bank accounts and segregation of duties issues are two different issues. So segregation of duties is having sufficient personnel to provide division of duties between preparation, review, and approval. There's no legal requirement to maintain separate bank accounts for every fund. I work with probably over 50 board of government meetings. You might have the record for the most bank accounts that I've seen at one municipality. So again, there's inherent inefficiencies in what you're doing and increased costs from incurring bank fees and other things by maintaining these accounts, let alone the reconciliation nightmare that it causes by having to perform so many reconciliations on an ongoing basis. So all things that we will fix. And we help fix the segregation of duties issues because now you have an additional director level position to help with that, those types of SOB issues of making sure there's clear delineation between preparation and approval. Hope that answers your question.
The tender between preparation and.
I would like to hear from Debbie since she's the one that knows.
What it was is because before Danielle left, we had our different duties, but when she left, I had to take over. And I could sign checks, I could print checks, and I did the bank statements and I audited. And so that's what they're talking about. They needed to segregate the duties so that I wasn't doing all of it. And so that's what we do now. I don't sign checks unless it's emergency because I am a check signer, because I have to be a check signer to be able to move the money from fund to fund. And so we have our balances in place now, and I'm pretty well happy with that. But I don't write checks and I don't sign checks in most cases.
It's the protection of the check and balance, and so we have got that in place now.
One more question.
One more, and then
2 to 4 weeks to hire a person when, how long has Michael been looking for somebody? How long has that been posted? And we're saying that 2 to 4 weeks that we're gonna have somebody else.
you know what, Diane, we're gonna do our darndest.
It's not
We're
the
gonna do
same.
our very best.
I'm just, but the point I'm trying to make is, since they're gonna be here, since you guys are already gonna vote that they're gonna be here, why doesn't Debbie just train them up and they can train the future person? Because there's no guarantee that we're gonna have somebody in 4 weeks if we waited months and Michael has to count.
Well, this is gonna be a little different too. This is not the director, and so this is more of an accountant clerk type position. And so hopefully we'll have more applicants. Hopefully we'll have more applicants.
So who's going to be the director then? Well, I know them for.
They're going to be the interim director. That's what we're hiring them to be.
To take over, sure.
No. They're not training anybody to take over right now. They're gonna do the major part of the finance. And then we'll have 2 clerks doing the day-to-day.
So we're not, when they leave in a year, we're not gonna have a finance director.
They will not leave, Diane, until we know for a fact that we have a finance director, and they're gonna come in, they're gonna make our system more efficient. And it might be at that point, we've talked about that it might be more on an as-needed basis or a monthly basis, right?
Budgets and things like that, that we want to hire them to do those things. I'm just saying that these 2 positions we're gonna have, one of them is not gonna be a finance director.
Correct.
And Clarion is the finance director.
I know, but after 12 months, who is the finance director?
And that specifically, if I may, they said to be determined. Because they're
determined,
gonna get things organized, they're gonna figure out efficiencies, and they're gonna see if the person who is hired as the accountant is able to step up.
That is my question.
Right, if that's a possibility, but some of this is unknown.
Yeah.
Because we have to go through the flow and the processes and, see how much they can fine-tune it, see what kind of person applies for the job. So I think it's gonna be a work in progress that's my understanding.
And they'll come back and make a recommendation to us. Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Commissioner Burton, did you have a question? Okay. Are we prepared to vote?
Let's go.
Okay, commission, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you both very much. Please be safe traveling home.
Will do, thank
We
you.
appreciate everything you've done and we look forward to
Appreciate your
working with
comments.
you and everything that you're gonna do for the city.
Looking forward to continuing the relationship. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay,
Sheriff? Yes. Please do this.
we're gonna move into, Mr. Leary, at this point in time, you're up next. You want to bring, Colonel Wells and let him do his report?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Good evening. We'll be brief with this and of course address any questions that you have. So first I'll want to give you your last 30 days or the month of March and what the law enforcement activity in Crescent Cities look like. And then if you'll indulge me for a few minutes after that, I'd like to make sure that everyone is properly introduced to the district commander and who will be basically acting as the chief of police among other duties. So in the month of March of 2021, there were 148 law enforcement activities inside the city limits of Crescent City. 74 or exactly 50% of those were deputy initiated activities such as traffic stops, suspicious persons, suspicious vehicle contacts, assist motorists, etc. 24 of those 74 were traffic stops. So 24 traffic stops were conducted. We investigated 1 traffic crash and we investigated 7 criminal events during that month. Of those criminal events that are listed, did everyone get the report ahead of time?
I don't have one.
Okay, so that may have been with the city manager changing out, so we're gonna be in a habit of sending this report out the Monday before the city commission meeting. And then they'll go to the city manager and then he can, of course, distribute from there. And then from that point, if there's any request for change of formats for additional information or less information, Captain Usher will be happy to do that for you. So I did in that report list the criminal events. Working in a backwards order, the most recent was a shooting, 712 Bay Street. That criminal investigation is progressing rapidly through our major crimes unit. Unfortunately, it is so active at this point, I'm just not free to comment anymore on the progress of that case, but that case is ongoing. The next one was a battery on 715 North Summit Street. That was a domestic violence related case. That case is considered solved. Suspect is identified in warrant file. Our detectives, victims advocate, and domestic violence detectives are continuing to work with that victim. The next one was a burglary to a vehicle, 306 Eucalyptus Avenue. That was an unlocked vehicle with inner and some miscellaneous tools taken out of the glove box. That has been assigned to the property crimes detectives. Vehicle was crossed for latent prints and images of barefoot impressions were obtained. That is still an open investigation. The next one was an officer initiated case, which was a drug case, drug seized on a traffic stop on North Main Street. That was one of our canines unit working the area conducting a traffic stop. Canine alerted to the odor of narcotic seized from the vehicle. The next was a theft, 1132 Huntington Road. This was a theft of a 12-foot utility trailer. Obviously, scene process for evidence, neighborhood canvas conducted, property crimes detectives are involved with that. That is an open case. Number 6 is a vandalism, 111 North Summit Street. That was a broken window. No evidence was located. Camera footage from First Coast Community Credit Union was looked at by the detectives. However, it did not get a view of the window. It looks like a rock or some hard object thrown through that window. The final case that had any kind of a criminal element to it was traffic crime. This is where a deputy attempted a traffic stop on Huntington Road. The driver fled, but was later apprehended by the deputy on foot. The driver had a revoked driver's license and was charged with resisting arrest. So those are the criminal events. There are no crime trends, which is no current patterns of crime related by time, location, or other commonalities. And that crime trend and the current crime trending, one of the most effective ways we look at crime trends is we look at the month compared to that same month last year. It's not really always effective to look February versus March because seasons and holidays and events and all that type of stuff. So we look at it month for month. If you compare March of 2021, this March, compared to March of 2020, there was 33.3% less crime in Crescent City this March compared to last. The final thing we'll include on the report is other significant events we just think that you should be made aware of. We've had one arise since the report was sent, and we want to make everybody aware of that. As you've heard, we had an accidental shooting take place in a vehicle. That vehicle was, we believe, and correct me if I'm wrong anywhere, we believe was transversing southbound on Highway 17, beginning somewhere near the Volusia County line through Crescent City. And somewhere during that ride, there was an accidental shooting inside the vehicle where the backseat passenger accidentally shot the front seat driver. That vehicle then took off from the area and our deputies intercepted it as it was getting into the East Palatka area. And the driver, unfortunately, in that case is deceased. We just received an update from Captain Osprey that we have made an arrest in that case, although the shooting was accidental. The firearm was not lawfully obtained and owned. And that case is still ongoing, but there has been an arrest in that case tonight.
Yes,
Just now. Okay, so other than that, so just the last thing I want to just reiterate is, just a request, certainly we are available to answer any question anybody has. When there's specific information and you're going to be introduced to Captain Osprey in just a minute, he will be very dedicated to helping us address those crimes. We ask that you give us an opportunity to notify Captain Osprey of those situations, your neighborhood concerns, your long-term issues, and let him try to work through those. And then, of course, also with this tonight, you've met him in the past. That's Major Rose. He's the next level in chain of command. He's Director of Law Enforcement for the entire county, and worked your way up. Again, this is not a statement that I intend to discourage anybody from saying anything at a public meeting, but especially on drug cases. Drug cases are long and they're complex, and some of them go on for years. The case that we just made that I referenced in Palatka over the weekend, or just before we started the search warrant on Lane Street, we've been trying to get Lane Street for 2.5 years. It just takes the right circumstances to line up. But if we come into public places and we publicly talk about the drug dealing at 2800 block of Lane Street, that really can cripple us because it puts everybody on alert and makes it that much harder. Now, I will offer this to you: if we fail to perform satisfactory or we can't make you happy, that we are doing what we can do with that, then may be the time to call us out in public, but let us address it first. And that's all that I ask on that. So very quickly, I'll get out of any way, maybe kind of long meeting accomplished a lot tonight. I do want to take an opportunity to make sure that everybody is formally introduced to Captain David Usry. David is a 19-year veteran of the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, born and raised in Putnam County, and has strong roots in the southern end of Putnam County. So when I was a district commander in part of the county, David served as my deputy district commander, as my lieutenant. From there, he became an actual district commander when he was promoted to captain and had the South District. So he has been the district commander for this area in the past. I transferred him several years ago to the Special Operations Bureau of the Sheriff's Office, and that has made him very well-rounded and even more suitable for this job, because in that position, he oversaw all of the special operations of the Sheriff's Office. The drug vice unit fell under his command, street crime suppression unit, drug unit, school safety, all the youth resource officers, all of that was under his command. Marine unit, dive unit, SWAT team, all of that. It's kind of a specialty function of the Sheriff's Office. So he has a strong history in his career of being a detective. He's very familiar with the criminal investigations in. He has run districts in the past, and he has run all the specialty functions of the Sheriff's Office. So all of that knowledge, I think, will come together and was behind my recommendation to the sheriff to transfer him back out of special operations to the district to help us facilitate our efforts in Crescent City to take over our East District. So I've worked for him and known him for a long time. I think you guys are going to like working with him. David is serious when he needs to be, but he also has a great sense of humor when it's appropriate. He relates very well to citizens. He has an uncanny ability to calm down situations when the tensions are high and confusion exists, and when there may be animosity, this, that, or the other. So I'm excited. I hope he is. I'm excited to introduce him to you tonight, and as your new district commander, and he will be working very closely with Mr. Leary and then whoever follows afterwards, or like we hope you might consider staying, but we'll go from there. And then he's here to answer any questions you have with him tonight. If you have none, just an opportunity to introduce him, and if you want to say anything.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing us the opportunity to take care of your law enforcement services here in Crescent City. Like Colonel Wells said, I was a district commander in the South End for a while. It's kind of where my heart has always been. Even in patrol, when I first came here, I kind of got a liking to the South End of Putnam County. I've had the opportunity to work in town, in the West End, and about every position in the sheriff's office, as far as, you know, being a detective, moving up the ranks to the position I'm in today. But I can assure you this, I've heard some negatives in the room today. I've heard a few negatives on the street, but the most things I'm hearing are positive. Just give me the opportunity to show you guys what we got. And I think you'll be satisfied with it. Other than that, I'll take any questions if you have any. I'm eager to be back down here. I went into special operations. It was a great job. I learned a lot there. I think it was a very big impact on the development of my career. I appreciate that from Colonel Wells and putting the effort into me and getting me where I am today and putting me back in my dream area, in my dream job. This is what I like to do, and this is what I think I do best. Again, my old job was fun, probably the dream job of most people, but I think this is where I'm best suited. So thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to say something real fast.
Okay, well.
I will, and with what Colonel Wells said, I experienced that with Captain Usry yesterday. There was a resident, and she had some issues, and she was upset. And he did respond, and I spoke to her afterwards, and he had that calmness about him that I think helped ease her mind a tremendous amount. And so we do appreciate that. So
Thank you.
Commissioner DeVito.
Yeah, Mayor, the one thing that I think is a priority, the contract, I think says, and I communicated this to Colonel Wells either yesterday or today, that the public knows when Captain Usry is going to have office hours and has the ability to contact him. I don't, right now, we're in transition. I don't even have the ability to contact Phil Leary. But I think it's.
I have an answer for that. This is new to me, just as it's new to anybody else. And us working together, us coming together is going to be the answer for that. And that's what I plan to do. So obviously, I'm not going to
be able to have everybody trying to call me at once, especially on a specific call. It would be conducive to have one person that I can communicate with, communicate to that one person only, or his designee, but that would probably be the best case scenario and easier for me.
Okay, good.
This wouldn't be any different than what we talked about the other day, in that no unilateral direction from any commissioner to a staff member. The same thing with the sheriff's office. If you have an issue, you have a question or something, you come through me, communicate it to me, and then I will get with Captain Nussery, and that way it'll be a clean, very succinct process.
Okay, well,
I think that I understand you and I have had some conversation.
yeah,
Do you and the citizens of Crescent City need some relatively stable, reliable times where you know that Captain Nussery is in the city and accessible?
yeah,
He is free to begin that at any time. So if you, however, if you know, the commission would like to make your recommendations or suggestions to the city manager, the Captain Nussery, the city manager can settle that out. He's ready. Yes, we don't have office space here yet.
right.
But he's ready to be in the city at identified times, and he might be mobile, but he's committed to being here. And if you would like, everybody would feel better knowing, I'm just throwing one out, but he's here every Monday and Wednesday all day, or half a day these days, whatever you and the city manager, Captain Nussery, work out, we're ready to make that commitment that he will be inside the city at designated times to be accessible.
Right, because I think that's important. I think it would do a lot to make people feel better about the change, and as well, and Phil, this is not about direction from any specific commissioner. What we are used to in Crescent City, and this was discussed in the contract negotiations, is that there would be office hours so that a resident with general concerns that don't really lend themselves to calling dispatch, that there needs to be a law enforcement representative who can talk to residents about their concerns. And I have one I want to raise tonight. I think you might find that it would be overwhelming for you to receive the specific law enforcement concerns, and then have to transmit them
Only from the commission,
to Captain Clear. I'm sorry.
only from the commission.
We can't call them individually and say, come to my house.
He's just saying from the commission, so we have, there's that straight flow, and they're not getting it from 5 different people. I
Right,
think
and
that-
I don't think anyone's ever quote told law enforcement what to do, but for example, I'm a resident and on my street, and while we have Colonel Wells here and Captain Usry, I want to bring up at US 17 and Orange Avenue. I heard that there was a traffic crash there, and it's where I walk. Apparently, a car hit and completely cracked a utility pole, a wooden utility pole. It moved a cable box that was probably 5 feet high. It moved up 25 feet. Stuff was strewn all over that vacant lot. It was right at the intersection of Orange and 17. And a resident who lives nearby actually saw it. He said 4 guys got out and ran and were picked up by another car. And as my observation, if one of us had been in a car stopped at that stop sign or trying to turn right, that would have been a fatality. Any driver in that car would have been killed. And there's a resident down the street from me who has the same concerns that I do. And I think there are several people that are eager to meet with you, because there is quite a bit of dangerous driving around both on 17 and residential streets. And I think that that is the kind of thing that people are feeling a need to bring directly to whoever is in charge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just so you know, our number 1 complaint in Putnam County is speeding. That's number 1. And number 2 is drugs. Everybody's got it. So, we'll come up with a plan with that. And if you need me down here at a specific time during the week, that's no problem.
Right.
I can manage that.
And maybe that's something that we can work out, that for him to have some office hours, and we can even post that on the website so that the residents are aware of when, if they want to come in and meet with him.
Well, that was what I had in mind, and
Okay.
personally, I think there needs to be an announcement both on the website and posted on the door, because because we know not everyone has internet. Just that this has happened and
Okay.
in the works.
When do we expect, Colonel Wells, when do we expect for them, and which building actually is it? I just want to make sure we have some clarification as to
For
which
the
building,
office,
which building you're going
the
into.
administrative offices of Middle School.
So which one, is it the brick ones on
So
the,
it's the one.
It's the main
call.
entrance.
And then with the bright big
so that's where
sign.
you're going in, okay, because I thought so, and there was some confusion, and someone said you were going into the one at the very end that is more, south of the school.
So
I think that is south of the school.
It
That's
is
that's what I'm calling the
Well,
main.
well,
that's
no,
what I'm
this is
calling
this is where the health department is.
no,
Okay, you're
we
not
looked
going
at
there.
space down there previously to establish a Crescent City office long before we knew anything
Okay.
about this. It wasn't suitable.
Okay,
So, and then the answer to when is, that is a priority of ours and the school district as soon as the school year's over to begin that process.
okay, so,
In the meantime, we can be very creative, and have him anywhere here, maybe, if this building's not being used one
Right.
day a week, he could set.
that's
up
what I was
here.
thinking, he could come in here and meet with anybody that wanted to.
Right, and I know he's got some plans too, he's talked to me about it, asked me how I felt, I'm 100% behind him, probably gonna be the need to call a few town hall meetings. and
Okay, I
stuff
think
along
that would
those
be
lines,
very
and, so
beneficial.
we'll make sure we hear the concerns and get them addressed, but then, it might just be something that comes up all of a sudden where, the city manager needs him, well, the city manager go, okay, well, he was always here on Wednesday, I'll set it, I'll be with him on Wednesday, well, whatever the case is, whatever works better for y'all and for him, I haven't given him any direction on how much, how little, what days of the week or anything, so. And he's been down here a lot, but he's mobile, so he might meet with you out of his black Ford Explorer, but he's here and available, so
Okay.
I think we'll be good on that.
Listen, guys, and again, I can't tell you how excited I am to get started back down here. I've got a lot of ideas, and there's only one way I can do this. I'm only one person, and I'm gonna need the help from you and all the citizens in this community to be able to try to make a difference. It's gonna take all of us. It's gonna take a lot of effort, but I see some potential, and we're gonna keep Crescent City a great place, and we're just gonna take out a little bit of trash.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Great, thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Any other questions?
Well, I have a question. And before anybody jumps on me, no, I'm not in favor of not sending a sheriff to deal with accidents. But-
Diane, can you come up? I'm sorry, come to the podium.
Diane Sykes here, Chestnut. There was an issue the other day, there were fireworks, I live right around watching fireworks. I looked at the clock, it was only like 8:39 o'clock. I thought, well, if it continues till bedtime, I'll call the sheriff, but it wasn't that big a deal. But I saw that it was a big deal to some people because we have one 24/7 officer in town, and that officer went to go deal with how did you phrase it? Multiple.
The night of the fireworks? Yeah, there was multiple folks entrapped in that vehicle. It was.
Okay, so I didn't see that anywhere, not on your website or in the news or anywhere. So.
Yeah, I know, we don't investigate the crashes that occur in the unincorporated areas. We will investigate them here, so it wouldn't have been our press release to do. And I don't know what the media picks up or not, but
That is the major concern that I see from the citizens. Is that in the county, before we had a police department, so we always had an officer in town, plus we had South Putnam Sheriff, a police commissioner in the South Putnam area. Now it seems like we're not getting more services, we're gonna get half the services, because the person that would normally be serving in the county in South Putnam is now committed to Crescent City. If they get called out, we've got nobody, and I think that's the concern.
I do, I understand that. It is gonna take some time, I think, forever for us to work through that concern, because it's not less. I mean, the deputy that works the unincorporated area around here will still be there, and the deputy in Crescent City will be here. So it's going up by at least one person on duty 24 hours a day in here, and that's your Crescent City deputy. Also, it was common that when Crescent City Police Department was in effect, that they left the city.
Oh, no, they got called up.
Right, to back us
I
up.
know that.
So that's kind of what happened down here that night, is the person assigned to Crescent City, either wearing blue or green, was called to help the county on a bad traffic crash. And so it delayed the fireworks calls. But it could happen, but the guarantee is, we've not decreased our deputies by any. There is still the same amount of East District deputies, plus one, at least one to be in Crescent City. So there's gonna be those anomalies, and we're gonna work very hard. Captain Upster is gonna work very hard with the sergeants to minimize that. But there's always gonna be that anomaly where we have to pull somebody. And if we did it, Crescent City was great with backing us up. So they left the city quite a bit to help us. So we're gonna try to minimize it. I'm sure after that, anything else.
Right, and I keep hearing from a lot of people, how many deputies are we gonna get? We're getting 5 deputies. And I keep hearing that number 5. I don't know why we circle our head around the 5, because you don't get 5.
Oh, no, we only find the one.
Yeah,
time.
you're getting a whole lot more than that. I mean, you've got 60+ years of law enforcement standing in the ring right here, and that's just 3 people. I've got K9 units, I've got, I could go a plethora of things, there's hundreds of people that I have at my disposal at any moment. When these guys come on down here, they love to work with me. They know I'm aggressive. They want to come down here, so they're gonna be attracted on here to give us the opportunity. Give us the opportunity, give me a chance. We haven't even got established yet. We're still in the working for that. Be patient with it. I know we've had some pretty, what we're saying, high profile cases we've had lately. And those things kind of happen. I guess when you say if you want to play in the rain, sometimes you got to deal with the mud, and that's what we're doing right now. Just give us the opportunity to establish, and I'm sure we'll watch it on the outside. Give me a chance.
Commissioner DeVito.
Yes, have to be straight. And this is something that I want to get the sense of the commission. I think what people are concerned about, most people in Crescent City understand that we have a contract that pays 4 or 5 deputies. We also understand that there is a 6-month transition period. And what I would like to know, and I don't know if this is of interest to the other commissioners, but I think some people in the public would like to be apprised of when the Crescent City assigned deputies are specifically coming online. I think that is the kind of thing that we would like to be updated on, because I know, it was explained that there's hiring and preparation, but it's my understanding that we still don't have a specific deputy for a specific shift assigned to us yet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but I'm saying it would, and so technically we are a little down. One day we'll be more up, and I think people might feel better if we got an update on the progress as it goes along.
So you don't have that specific deputy that's in town, but there has been a deputy who is on every shift that has been instructed
No, I know that.
here, and
Right,
and then they also can respond to those certain areas outside of the city limits to help out our guys, as they did before. So I think you still have that service now, and just, we gotta understand that there's little priorities that we have to put on things. I mean, I understand the priority fireworks. From what I understand, they probably weren't fireworks, they were mortars, and they were very loud, because I've heard from a lot of people. So,
We'll keep you posted on that. So the current status is that we're covering through some overtime. However, we have had 2 deputy sheriffs in the agency request to be assigned to Crescent City so far, and we have 5 deputy sheriffs in field training at this time. So we'll keep you posted, and like we've always offered, is we want that to be a relatively stable group of deputies down here. And we plan on, as they get assigned into Crescent City, they'll be brought and introduced in public, and so you'll know who they are and everything. So right now, it's random, but progress is being made, so I'll keep you posted.
Thank you. Commissioner Banks.
Yeah, but I don't know what, I think we fully covered. Almost every time I ride around, I see 2 or 3 deputy cars, pickups, unmarked cars, so I think we covered.
Every day.
I don't think we can be covered no more than. I don't.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm just.
Thank you very much. We appreciate everything y'all are doing.
thank you. Again, thank you for the help.
Okay. Commissioner, okay, now we're going to go to Mr. Leary. You want to finish up with any comments
Yes,
that you
ma'am.
might have?
only had, well, two things. Very quickly, on your desk or on the DS in front of you is the internal investigation report and all the backup documentation. That is now public record and will be being posted to the website. If it hadn't already been done, tomorrow morning will be done. So my recommendation is you take that, read it and digest it. And if you're interested, we can, for the next commission meeting, we can set up a discussion time or however you'd like to handle it. So that's for information. We do have 2 openings on the planning board commission. And we have 2 applicants, and I think Mr. West has a motion to.
Yes,
for the
I have 2
volunteers.
people that have agreed to serve on that, Kip Roddenberry and Tracy Eckhart, and they need them because they're low now, they're very low.
We have,
And so I move that we allow Kip Roddenberry and Tracy Eckhart and move them to the planning and zoning committee.
No one else can apply for that or ask to be on the board?
Yes, if you want to,
I'm
certainly,
already on
because
board. But, well, I think I'm on board. Am I on board?
You're on a board. You're on a CRA board, I believe.
I am on the CRA.
Yes.
We haven't done away with the CRA.
No, we have not.
no,
Well, actually, I don't know, I've seen us appoint people like this before, and I'm not quite understanding why we don't advertise it a little or circulate it. I wasn't even aware that there was an opening.
there's been vacancies, and according to what Deb has told me is that they have had a difficult time getting a quorum. We can't hold up projects and development orders that go to the planning
Okay,
commission
I
to
understand
do,
that
come
part.
to you. So these are
Okay.
2 very qualified people, and I highly recommend their appointment.
Okay. There has been, if we are short people on the planning board, that should have been shared with the commission. I have met Mr. Roddenberry and I know Tracy Eckhart. She's in the same household with Commissioner Burton. I have concerns about us basically, I don't know, having a closed process. This has not been announced in any commission meeting. It could have been done.
Well, I've only been here a week, so I can't tell you what City Manager Kennedy or Mr. Esposito was in the process of getting this done, but he's just been overwhelmed with all this police force issues. So tonight I'm bringing you 2 very qualified people that I think will do an outstanding job. And most importantly, they will show up for meetings so we can have a quorum, so we can vote on development orders that are coming in now. We have applications that need to be, agenda for those. So.
Well,
You have a motion on the floor, Mayor.
We have a motion.
So
Do we have a second? Do we have any?
I said,
We have a motion and we have a second. Do we have any other discussion?
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Phil could do anything about this, what was done in the past, but number one, I don't appreciate being yelled at for the second time in a week. You're free to disagree with me, but please do not yell at me.
Oh, you would know if I was yelling at you, Commissioner. That was not yelling.
Well,
I think he has a very, I found he has a very strong voice and so.
I think it sounds like it, and I think it says on our agenda that we will be respectful of each other and our ideas. I am not in the wrong because I bring up that.
Commissioner DeVito, nobody has asked, nobody has
I'm talking, please.
pointed fingers.
I said, I have been yelled at for the second time this week, and I don't appreciate it. I am not in the wrong, and I think it is appropriate for me to bring up that the city, for a position as important as the planning and zoning board, if there are vacancies that need to be filled, they should be announced at a commission meeting to make all the commissioners aware of it, and as well to let the public know that they might have an opportunity to serve. And as well, in other cities, we are not all personally acquainted with the qualifications of the two people here. And there should be an opportunity for their bios to be circulated. I mean, I don't think this is a proper procedure.
Okay, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
I'm letting you know, we have vacancies, we cannot get a quorum. And in order for us to process applications that are coming in, we need to make these appointments so I can set a meeting
Okay.
for the planning commission.
I understand where you're coming from. Mr. Leary, do you know what Mr. Esposito has done as far as trying to get applicants for the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I know he's talked to people and I'm confident that he's asked, commissioners, I don't know if he asked Commissioner DeVito, to see if we could seek out people that would serve, and with the understanding that it's a commitment, it's a volunteer, you're not paid, it does take time, the applications and the process is complicated. And, we have to have qualified people as we move forward with the applications that we're receiving.
How long are these terms? Do we know how long these terms are for?
Till they die.
I think that there's no, and one of the things that I would like to do at some point in time is, as part of our update of our land development code is put in criteria for terms and attendance and, make it more professional and have a specific application that somebody can file and in place with us. We don't have that now. I don't know why Mr. Kennedy never did that with his planning background, but he did. So,
Okay, well, let me ask the question. I believe that all of our boards need to be reviewed. I think a lot of them are well past their time of serving. With that being said, I wonder if there is some way that we could do this, that they come in, that these two, that they fill in for right now, and we make that sort of a date certain that they're going to be here for maybe the next 6 months. And as we have an opportunity to review these boards.
that's up to you.
I mean, I'm
Y'all
asking
do
the
whatever your
commission,
prerogative.
because I understand we are at a disadvantage here, and planning and zoning has our code enforcement. She can't get a quorum, and they haven't met in over a year on code enforcement,
Nor do we have a clerk.
nor do we have, right.
So so all the commission understands, I cannot help what's happened prior to me. All I'm trying to do is move the business of the city forward. And in order to do that, we have to have quorums for these boards. And if we don't have quorums, we can't have meetings, things stop. And believe me, that message gets out, or you can't get anything done in Crescent City because they can never get a quorum for a planning board meeting.
Okay.
So it's fish or cut bait.
I mean,
You decide.
personally, I would like to see that, that we do this kind of on a temporary basis.
That would be fine. I don't think the people that have agreed would have a problem with that either.
And then we can
It's
go
just
to
that
the-
we need it now.
Right, I understand,
We need
I
to move
understand.
now.
So do you want to amend your motion?
All right, I'm in my motion for Kip and Tracy for a 6-month period beginning April 1st.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Do we have any other discussion?
Yeah, discussion.
Yes.
Maybe,
Banks.
maybe in the future, that this has been done in the future, in the past. Each commissioner was asked about the individual. Say we need somebody on the planning board. Do you have a name? And then the commission would vote on it. On the name.
Okay,
Now, that's how it's been done in the past.
okay.
Yes.
So, and I agree with that. I agree with that process.
Yes,
I
we
know
have
that we're
done
in
it
a
that way.
situation, we're in a situation
We're
right now.
just in a bind right now.
Right now, we'll be in a bind, and I think the 6-month period would get us out of the bind.
And they
then
may,
if the individual want to, but see, you can still be on there, put their name in.
They
And
can,
we'll go
and at
from there.
that time, they can put their name in. Yes, Ms. Sykes.
Diane Sykes, for Chestnut Street. At this time, I would like to resign from the CRA board and ask for a position on planning and zoning. And I believe that my qualifications would beat the other two applicants.
No, recommend that.
Okay.
Right, and what would the reason be?
Is that I presented to, or the commissioner, as Commissioner Banks has said, this, the past policy has been a commissioner recommends an appointee, and Commissioner West has recommended the two appointees, and I also recommend them, and there's no need at this point in time to have any other appointees to the planning board. She can certainly will, once we get the application process, as the mayor has requested, we'll do that, and we'll have applications available for people to file.
Okay,
I've been going to commission meetings for 13 years, and it's never been
Okay.
the board.
Okay, okay, thank you, Diane.
but Mayor, I would like to respond.
Yes, you missed again.
The Phil's explanation for this. I find this highly irregular. The Planning and Zoning Board is the most significant board in any city. It makes some decisions regarding property use that are not reviewed by the commission, and as well, it makes some that are reviewed by the commission. I do not understand why there was a process to go to only one commissioner, that the other commissioners were not even aware of the opening. And as well, I don't think it is a good thing on the Planning and Zoning Board to have a member from the same household as a city commissioner.
Then Commissioner, then you can vote against the motion. And here's what I'll tell you. I have 30 years experience. I'm a nationally certified land use planner. Don't need to tell me what planning and zoning boards do. I know that's what they do. I am trying to solve a problem and move the city forward. So if you don't like the motion, you're more than welcome to vote against it. That's your prerogative.
And right now, we currently do have, I believe,
Motion.
a motion.
I
We have
second.
Mr. West is, also, isn't he, he's on the commission
Yes.
currently. Okay. He's on
Who's
the
on the
commission.
commission?
My husband is.
Okay, so we would have on the Planning and Zoning Board, 2,002 commissioners.
That doesn't seem at all.
I'm gonna say right now, we're gonna table this.
Your
until-
problem is you can't get people to join.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was gonna say,
Melissa,
you can't get people
and it's
joined.
over
You got
and
two-
over
that's-
and over again.
Okay,
We
everybody.
have a motion,
Okay,
we
okay,
have
wait
a
a second.
motion, let's take the vote.
Wait a
Let's
second.
vote, please, Brian.
Yes, my son.
May I speak?
Yes.
My name is Tracy Eckhart, I live 109 North Prospect Street. I am not a spouse. I do have background in contracting, where I worked for 10 years as project manager and estimator for a national organization on commercial industrial construction. I do have an idea of what's going on here. Now, I do not agree with things this woman says on
Okay,
anything. I do not want somebody to come up here and say, we, the citizens, you know what? I speak for myself. I am volunteering to do this. I will be happy to do it. Mr. West called me because there was a need. Why? Because I was at the meetings, because I am concerned, and I would also like to help the city move forward. I am very sorry that you don't think that's positive things, you know.
thank you.
Ma'am,
I have a motion, second. I think the question has been called on the motion.
I didn't answer the follow-up question, and I would like to say something to respond to Ms. Beckler and everything that's been said. I am very.
Okay. Mr. Vigo, we have a motion. We're gonna get in the tit for tat right now. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you.
That's all I had, Mayor, for my report.
Okay, thank you.
I have some questions.
Can I say this? Let me say this, please.
Yes, Commissioner Banks.
Mayor, I want to all of the citizens that here. Why is we acting like this? We getting ridiculous. We acting like a bunch of heathens. That's what we acting like. We're not acting like leaders of a city.
Thank you.
We need to stop this.
Thank you.
We ain't gonna be able to get no city manager. Nobody else wanna come here.
Thank you.
We need to cut it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Banks. Jay, do you have, you're good right now? Okay. Okay,
Mayor, I have the same question.
Commissioner DeVito, this will go into comments, so you want to start with your commissioner comments.
I had a question, I have a couple of questions for the city manager. One is, I'm assuming he's starting soon. I do not really know how to get in touch with him.
Okay.
I have the same phone that Mr.
You'll have the same,
Yeah,
no,
I have it
okay,
now.
he's turned it over today.
I don't
Okay.
have my possession, but it's in the
Okay.
office, yes.
Okay,
Okay, so the cell phone,
Yes.
I am concerned that the public be informed of who the city manager is and who's in charge. I know that we've been very busy in the city these days, but I found out who the city manager, I mean, that we definitely had an interim city manager in the paper. I think it would be good for the public to get an announcement that Phil has definitely started.
okay.
We have had some questions from people about the Harry Banks Park and the Eagle Lions Park bathroom. That they are continuously locked and that the sports teams and the children at park can't use them. And
They've been locked because of the COVID, and there's no way we have to sanitize them. So, being how cognizant that you are of infection rates, that should make a lot of sense. It did to me.
Yeah,
well, I was told that it was because of vandalism.
It has been vandalism in the past, but right now,
and,
every time someone goes in, there's not someone to sanitize it.
and also I went through and checked with those bathrooms, with one of the residents the other day. We went and checked the bathrooms and we talked about it and came back, and another concern that you have is typically you have somebody, especially in a larger city, you have the staff that can go in and open those up, and then that you have somebody that can lock them. And so I do have that on my list, that at some point we are going to have to address what we want to do with our public bathrooms, because they do need to be locked up every evening. And but that is an issue right now, and COVID, of course, where we are with COVID, that's been the biggest concern, is being able to disinfect them.
I think COVID, Your Honor, I think COVID-19, the one started us to close in our normal. But in the past, and all this is in the past, the city would go in once a week, or twice a week, or how many every time Keith would let them go in and clean them. I don't know whether that is still being did or not.
Not right now because they're closed. And right now Keith is short one staff member, so that has created also a problem in our public works area. So
So my main concern, I would have brought this up at the beginning of the meeting, but we had people who needed to speak and things that needed to be taken care of. I was surprised to see, and I know this is a long meeting, that we did not have either additions and deletions for the agenda. As well, we did not have old business, and what we were on the point of deciding at the March 23rd special meeting, we had the senior advisor there, and we had decided that it was very important to finalize the city manager advertisement. That is still a pending issue. I was going to ask that it be added to this agenda as old business. But I'm just very concerned that there was a unilateral decision made by someone that what under.
that was me.
Okay,
I made the unilateral decision that we were not going to address it at this meeting, simply because our staff right now, they need a breather. They really do. And
okay.
Karen's training,
Right.
okay? And so for her to have to be inundated with applications, all the people that are gonna be applying for that job.
Right, but Mayor, the issue that I have is, I think that the procedurally, the correct thing to do, because the role of the mayor, and Mayor Peterson did this sometimes as well, it is the job of the commission to decide whether to table things or not. I think the correct thing to do would be to put it on the agenda. And then once we get there, let the entire commission decide that it would be a good idea. to
Okay, and
table.
we'll definitely put on the May agenda.
And may we vote on that, please? May I make a motion that we put this issue on the
Absolutely, you can
agenda?
put that, make a motion.
Okay, that I move that we have as unfinished or old business on the May agenda, the completion of the advertisement for the interim city manager position.
Okay, we have a motion, do I have a second? Excuse me, but we don't have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion? Any discussion? No discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion? Say aye. All opposed? Say nay. Okay.
I'm gonna say,
Motion dies.
no.
So
Nay.
we're not advertising for the city manager position.
We're not advertising for the position. We
No.
still have to finish that up, and that's what I said, is we would put that on the May agenda
That
to
was
finish
my
that,
motion, that we agreed to put it on the May agenda.
for discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
I say no, but if you guys say,
okay.
yeah, we need to be doing that right now, I think we need some time just to settle things down. I think May is too soon. I think we need to give Phil, our new interim city manager, a chance just to get things, get the ship settled. But I mean, if y'all want to discuss it, discuss it, discuss it.
I don't think we discussed it. I don't know what we have to go as far as just giving him the direction to go forward and start advertising.
There was one item, we did not complete the job description. There was one item.
What item was that?
I don't even remember now. I don't have minutes in front of me and I don't
That's
have
not
my notes, but,
Okay.
but he did
That's
not,
not important that you didn't remember.
he didn't advertise it. There were some blanks at the bottom of the page. And
The blanks were, my understanding is blanks were that they were going to, who was gonna be the contact. I believe that was part of it, was who was gonna be the contact.
there were a couple of things, but
Okay.
there are, so.
So did the motion pass?
No, the motion did not pass.
All right.
So,
That's
Now,
done.
my final question is, there is very disturbingly a picture of, on our desk, of airplanes at the.
that's part of my discussion.
Oh, okay.
I took that
I didn't know
picture.
I was doing
Okay. Anything else you have, Commissioner DeVito?
Well, at some point,
I'm
yes,
sure
I
she'll
would
find
like
something.
clarification on,
I'm sure she'll find something.
Commissioners,
I'm
Yes.
sorry,
okay, I'm gonna ask for order here
Okay,
yes,
and respect for everybody.
okay.
I would like some clarification on our ability to talk to the city manager. When I met with Phil, or I don't know if you've heard me call Phil or Mr. Weir.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
We called Michael, it's okay, I'll call you Phil. When I met with him, I actually was called to a meeting with Michael, and Michael did not come, so Phil was there. And basically, at one point, he cut me off when we had just started to discuss an agenda item and informed me that he was not taking direction or could not have discussion with one commissioner. He would only do something if the whole commission told him to. So I'm really not clear on how he sees the exchange of information with commissioners. Am I not supposed to send you an email or ask you a question?
That's totally inaccurate. What I said was, I would take no unilateral direction from a commissioner or mayor on a specific issue that I felt it was, that the whole commission needed to vote to do that. You can send me whatever you want, email, text, you can call me, what, you know, if you just want to have a discussion, if you want to ask me a question, that's not a problem. But that's very different than a unilateral direction.
Well, I wasn't really sure why you interrupted what I was saying.
Because you were basically telling.
Okay,
me
you two, we're gonna have to work out this relationship, so if y'all
Well, no, I
can do
mean,
that.
this is a new relationship. I'm trying to understand his concepts of it. And-
Well, can you do that, can you two do that in private?
Yeah.
Can you, okay, I'm gonna ask that you do that in private.
Right, a month ago.
Okay. And Commissioner DeVito, do you have any other items?
No, I look forward to hearing yours and everybody else's. Thank you.
Commissioner West, do you have any items?
You're gonna talk about.
I'm gonna talk about the plane.
I've seen 2 planes.
Yeah. We can talk about the plane now if we all want to talk about the plane.
Let's talk about.
I went to the park the other evening, and the plane was right there on the beach.
Yes.
And I went there yesterday evening to check on it to see if the plane was there as well. And as you can see, people were out there taking pictures with the plane. And yesterday there were 4 children at that same time swimming in that same water where that plane is. And I know this is on Lake Stella and these planes are landing out there. So,
Well, I have something to add about that.
mhm.
Okay. In the past, I mean, this is, Mayor, I'm glad you got the photo. This is over the top. One of my concerns has been typically in a swim area, you separate boats from swimming. I mean, I think when Commissioner Scholl was here, we have a sign now that says no dogs at the swim beach. Already, there is no separation between boats and swimmers. Boats pull up to the shore where the swimmers are, jet skis. That can be very dangerous. People have been injured and killed. This is beyond dangerous. As well, seaplanes are landing on the small arm of Lake Stella. They go right over Mathis Park. They go over to Eagle Nest. It's so loud, we can't hear ourselves talk on the back porch. So this is not good.
So I brought this to Mr. Leary's, Mr. Leary's attention yesterday. And I don't know, Colonel Wells, do you have any input as far as with these seaplanes and who we need to contact with them landing? You might not,
As
but
far as the law regarding their operation, we'd be happy to help you do that research. Our first contact would be the FAA.
Okay.
As far as I understand, unless there's, because we've dealt with this in some locations on the river,
mhm.
unless there's ordinance otherwise, the pilot can't deem that a safe, unless there's FAA regulations.
Okay.
The pilot can't deem those safe to land. I certainly think the city's capable of dividing swimmers from vessels and stuff along those lines, sure.
Okay.
Mayor, I would think we should be able to absolutely prohibit planes from approaching the beach. That is our property. And as well, I think I looked this up when there were some noise issues previously. I think that we can, and Mr. Larry and Jay could look this up. I think as a town, we can adopt some ordinance governing the landing of planes on waters that were within our jurisdiction.
Okay.
The part of the lake is in the county.
Mr. Leary, will you look into this with Jay and both the sheriff's department and see what we can do to, because this is a problem waiting to happen, especially with those children out there.
Yes.
So,
Mayor, can they also look at the boat issue? In other words, the.
you can't stop the boating out there, but what you're saying is a separation.
The boat's coming on
The
the shore.
boat's coming on shore.
We actually do not have to allow boats to come on the shore, but if we do, they should be very narrowly, they should have a special designated area.
There should be an area that they can put their boat.
But it's really questionable as to whether they need to be there.
Okay, okay. If you'll look into those issues for us. Commissioner West, do you have anything else?
No, the plans on this.
Okay. Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Burton. Okay, Mr. Leary, I do know, and I asked about this the other day, that we currently don't have an inventory of vacant houses. And I don't know if that's something that Pam can do, and it might be able to be beneficial to the sheriff's department for them to know what homes we have here that are vacant. So if that's something that you could please ask Pam to look into.
So I'm clear, you want a list of all the houses within the city that are currently vacant,
That look as if, or abandoned.
abandoned.
Mhm. Abandoned, and we're gonna need that anyway as we go forward. Also, an inventory of any city-owned properties.
I got that.
You got that already? Okay, okay. And then I guess of course, for we're gonna have to work on that for, Chamber of Commerce. Also, as far as an inventory of properties that are available.
Yeah, that's on my list.
That's on your list. Okay. DOH appears that they've opened up the vaccination right now without an appointment for tomorrow at 1101 Hudson Avenue in Palatka. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. It's the Moderna, and it's from 9 to 12 and 1 to 3. And of course, that's 18 and over, and you do not need an appointment if anybody is still needing that. I also want to say that Clean Up Putnam, I've spoken to Nicole, and Willaca and Interlochen is doing their cleanup this weekend. She has recommended that we do it for April 24th. Earth Day is April 22nd, and they normally celebrate it on that following Saturday. So I just want to make sure with the commission that we're okay with April 24th for Clean Up Putnam here in Crescent City. You won't be here. You won't be here. That's.
But, I think that would be a good day because there's, the Barton Festival is going on the prior
The
weekend.
prior weekend, the 17th is when that's going on.
Right, and I don't know if Commissioner Burton will be here the days before it, but there are a lot of activities that lead up to the cleanup and things that can be done. And so there's still an opportunity to participate, even if you're not here for the actual
And
pickup day.
she said that, of course, she'll have the gloves, hand sanitizer, and just encourage everyone to follow CDC guidelines and do social distancing. This is the 24th. Yes, sir.
Where we gonna meet at?
We're gonna meet right here, and we can decide if we want to meet there at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So what's everyone's pleasure?
Oh, I think you'll get more people if you meet at 9.
Okay.
If you will.
So we'll do it from 9 to 12. Please make sure that, Commissioner Banks, as far as getting it out to the churches too, and we need to get it out to the high school. This is short notice. Everybody's kind of running behind right now, but this will give the high schoolers some community time that they need. So we will do it on the 24th. We'll get that out on the website. We do it every year. It's a good event. So with that, I think that is all that I have. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned at 9:08. Thank you all very much.